2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Play Show, yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor, 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is another week and a Monday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. That's 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. We are rocking and rolling all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time. The head football coach at Northern Illinois, fresh off their huge, monumental upset victory, as they did go into South Bend and they took care of the Fighting Irish. Thomas Hammock is going to stop by at 4:20 p.m. Eastern time, 1:20 p.m. Pacific today. And then at the top of the final hour of the show, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, Hall of Fame tight end Tony Gonzalez will grace us with his presence as well. On the other side, I got two losers. Manny Rodriguez, his football team, 0-1. Giants, Daniel Jones, stinks, trash, season over. And I got Stuart Kovacs, who I hate to punch down on Stu because I work with Stu every day, and it's always a joy when I get to work with Stuart Kovacs. But, geez, what was Antonio Pierce doing on 4th and 1, electing to punt the football? But the Raiders lose to the Chargers. Who's got it better than us? Nobody. And Manny's football season couldn't even get him through September. Daniel Jones, yikes. And then there's me, a champion, a 6-time champion, a winner. And now we have the Patriots returning to the NFL penthouse. Oh, it's unbelievable. We have the Patriots returning to the NFL penthouse. It was almost so great. I forgot this feeling where I have a little Patriots logo on my shirt. And I bought this shirt, small Patriot logo, because I can't usually wear it many times the last year or two. But it's been 2 long suffering years. And my football team yesterday, they walk into the jungle. I don't even care that I picked the Bengals in Survivor and I'm already out. The Patriots, led by Gerard Mayo, who's going to go on to be the greatest coach of all time. Sorry, Bill, I love you. You have Jacoby Brissett, who will eventually give the job over to Drake May. You have Ramondre Stevenson, Matt Judon. You don't want to play? We don't want to pay you? Go shove it in Atlanta, because you're 0-1, you loser. Keon White, baby. The Pats are back. I'm telling you. I don't know what it's like to win a game like that. Because all last year I was sitting there like a loser. Like Stu each and every football Sunday. Like Manny each and every football Sunday. And I was sitting there. Oh, have my team lose. Have my team lose. I want a draft pick. I want the number 1 overall pick. I want to be a loser. And yesterday I sat there on my couch. And I was actually happy. I was actually rooting for my team to win. I forgot what this feeling was like. So, what a way to open up this Monday show. Manny, how about Daniel Jones? How's Daniel Jones?
He stinks.
Danny Dimes. Yikes. Oh my God. He is terrible.
Listen, man, it's basketball season.
Already?
Yeah. What, dude?
There's not even preseason yet in basketball.
Well, that's too bad. You know what? The roommates had a great show in Central Park, and that got me excited. You can't tell me.
Let's talk about things people care about, Stu. How about your Raiders? How the Raiders doing? 0-1. What was that throw? Did that play actually count when Gardner Minshew turned over the football?
It sure did.
That was Carson Wentz, I thought, for a second.
Yeah, it was Wentz-like. It was terrible. Another horrible start to the season. I'm sure they're going to win 4 or 5 games. Typical Raiders.
You know, let me tell you something as well, and I'll get to Deshaun Watson and Dak Prescott in just a second. But my, oh my gambling picks, by the way, they suck this weekend, but I don't care because the Patriots won. I was 0-3. I picked the Bengals, minus 7.5. Also had them in Survivor. Wrong on that. I then had, I was the idiot that took the Browns laying the points. I was wrong on that as well. And then, this could be my worst gambling pick ever. I took the Carolina Panthers, plus 4 points. I thought that was a sharp, savvy pick. 0-3 in the gambling world. But after a huge Nebraska victory and a huge Patriot victory, we'll forget about Michigan just laying an egg against Texas. We'll get to them in a bit. I don't care if I lost all my money this weekend. I'm feeling like $1 million because my team is 1-0. The Patriots, America's worst nightmare. We're back. Ugh, this is lining up for us to get just destroyed by Seattle next week, but who cares? I'm 1-0. Manny, what's your football team's record? How you guys?
Mine would be 0-1.
And your season's over.
Oh, yeah.
You know it's over. Mm-hmm. Your season was over before it started because this regime already had enough of one Daniel Jones, and they tried to replace him in the draft. So, wasted season.
Why I'm looking forward to basketball season already.
Stu, I'm not ready to say your season's over.
I am.
No, I would say this. If there is a Super Bowl mountain, the only 2 teams I think we could cross off after the first week of the season are the Giants and the Panthers. There's probably some other teams, but I'll let those other teams have a little sliver of hope. We'll let them at least have it marinate for another week or 2. But the Giants' Super Bowl aspirations, throw it in the trash. The Panthers, the only good news for the Carolina Panthers, at least you have your number 1 pick this year, because that in all likelihood is going to be the number 1 overall pick. All righty, let's do this. We'll start with the Dallas Cowboys and also the Cleveland Browns. And this is how good of a mood I'm in today. I have to congratulate the Dallas Cowboys and actually praise the Dallas Cowboys. Not only did they walk into Cleveland, but while they were walking into Cleveland, I don't know about you guys, Manny and Stu. I was stunned. I was absolutely stunned. I was live on the air doing my Sunday show, Sunday Morning Football, right here on the Infinity Sports Network. You can listen each and every Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern. And when I got breaking news that Dak Prescott got $60 million a year, it wasn't that Dak got the $60 million a year, because you knew that was going to be the inevitable price tag. We've talked about that. But I thought there was a 0% chance he was getting that deal before the start of the season. I thought it would be after the season, whether it was with the Cowboys or some other team. But Stu, I was shocked to see that. And even though yesterday was a very positive day for the Dallas Cowboys, it's so backwards still in the approach because, yes, you get the deal done with Dak Prescott, but the Cowboys said before the offseason commenced, right, they were going to be all in. We knew Dallas said they were going to be all in, and they basically did nothing that made the team better, even though they blew out the Browns yesterday, to add to this roster that won 12 games the last 3 years, and they have struggled to get out of the wild card round or divisional round. But that team and every insider at the time told you, hey, if a deal's going to get done, have the deal get done before the start of free agency, because then they can move the cap hit around for this year with the longer years on the contract, and they only were able to truncate it like $5 million at some point, but they could have given Dak this deal that they gave him yesterday. And they could have given him that back in March or late February, and they could have had a much more aggressive offseason. So, yes, the Cowboys get the deal done. It's $60 million for a guy that's never going to win you a Super Bowl, but that's the life of a good, not great quarterback in the NFL, and the Cowboys had a wonderful performance yesterday. But I usually don't get shocked doing this job anymore, because when you've been on the air, and I don't want to sound like I'm decrepit, but I've been on the air now a lot, and for a long time, where you usually don't get shocked by when things play on out. But in this case, with how this one played out, when it was Manny who told me the news yesterday. Manny was hard hat on, working very long and hard yesterday at the Infinity Sports Network. He got in my ear, and he said, Zach, the Cowboys just paid Dak Prescott. And since it was Manny telling me that information and not Stu, before I said it on the air, I went and double-checked it, because you never know with Manny. He could be quick to the internet and then get fooled by someone because he's a stupid Giant fan who's thought Daniel Jones was going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback a few years ago. But when Manny told me that news, I was genuinely shocked. And it's just so Cowboy-like that you go through the whole offseason, drama with Dak, and then literally the morning of their game, their first game of the season, they say, okay, we're going to give the deal to Dak Prescott. So I don't know about you, Stu, but I was literally shocked when the Cowboys and that news got released yesterday. They're paying Dak Prescott $60 million a year, and the contract was done.
No, me too. I was actually at Trader Joe's doing a little pregame shopping in the morning, and my buddy who's a Giants fan texted me saying, wow, overpaid bum. I'm like, okay. Then I see...
Wait. Yes, a Giant fan said overpaid bum
about that.
Was he late to react to his quarterback that they paid? Or was he talking about Dak?
He wasn't in as good as a mood like 3 hours later. But yes, he texted me that. Then I saw the Schefter and Rappaport alerts, and I was like, wow, did not see that coming. I would have maybe expected a Jamar Chase contract, but Dak before the game on week 1, no.
Yeah, I could not believe it either. Now, I gave enough credit for the Cowboys. I reached my quota of praise and positivity for the Cowboys. This is a regular season game. It's one that you want to win. It's a good start to the season. But quite frankly, I don't care what the Cowboys do in the regular season, because the last 3 years, 12 wins, 12 wins, 12 wins. And the last 3 years, the farthest they've gone is to the divisional round. They were eliminated twice in the wild card weekend. In the 1 year, they beat a bad Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that was 8-9 and only got in because their division sucked, and they lost in the second round of the playoffs. So to sit here and overly get excited about what the Cowboys did against the Cleveland Browns, that would be disingenuous. I'm not going to throw the Cowboys pom-poms around. But what I will say is, you want to talk about a career that is over, and his days of being a great quarterback, or the thought of him being a great quarterback, are over. It is absolutely positively Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is cooked. Deshaun Watson, I know he still has some years left on that contract, and it's fully guaranteed. But Deshaun Watson's time in Cleveland, it may as well just be over. Because we haven't seen this man, and I as just a football player, I know there's a lot off the field that was absolutely disgraceful and disgusting. But as a quarterback on the field, I used to love watching Deshaun Watson play. From what we saw at Clemson and then what we saw early on in Houston. And I know the team that he was on with the Texans back in 2020 was absolute dog crap, but he statistically had a great season. And when he was made available, you knew, even with all the allegations, some team was going to pull the trigger, because if you are able to play, someone will look the other way because they believe that you could be great as a quarterback. And right or wrong, winning in most NFL fans' eyes cures all. But you look at Deshaun Watson. Yesterday I saw a quarterback, and I get it. The offensive line was terrible. Micah Parsons was in your grill the entire afternoon. But I saw a quarterback in Deshaun Watson who looked like a rookie, who looked like he had no clue what hit him. He had a blank stare, and you saw a man that had all the confidence just sucked out of him. There's no hope for Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. And you look at it from the mental side of it, and I don't have sympathy for Deshaun Watson, but from a mental side of it, this was a guy that was all that. This was a guy at one point that was great, and then didn't play in 2021, was suspended for most of 2022, gets hurt in 2023, and now it's a make or break season for Deshaun Watson. Here's the problem, though. I think Deshaun Watson is already fractured beyond repair. And I don't believe, even though Cleveland last year made the playoffs with Joe freaking Flacco, I don't believe Deshaun Watson is going to turn this around consistently in Cleveland. And it's a shame, because Browns fans deserve better. The Cleveland Browns, they have a good roster, but their quarterback is absolutely horrific, and he's chasing what used to be his great moments. And when you start to chase and you don't have the results on the field, I think you've seen a quarterback that has lost all confidence, regardless of what he says to the media, regardless of what he says publicly. And I just have zero optimism for the Cleveland Brown fan who wonders, hey, is Deshaun Watson going to be able to turn it around? There may be a game or two that he's able to string together. You're like, okay, here it comes with Deshaun Watson. He's going to be great again. But consistently throughout the course of the season, I don't believe we're ever going to see the Deshaun Watson that we saw in 2020 or his first few years in the league or dating back to Clemson. And yesterday just further confirms that, and it reiterates this, that the Browns have a massive problem at quarterback. And I'm not going to sit here and say you have to play Jameis Winston right now, but it wouldn't shock me at some point if they just throw Jameis Winston out there, because it's better than what they have right now in Deshaun Watson. And if you think that's a crazy overreaction, well, look at all the quarterbacks that they started last year. P.J. Walker. I know Joe Flacco has been a good player in this league, but he was washed, and he took that team to the postseason. Deshaun Watson, forget doing the big things correctly. Forget becoming a great player. He can't do the little things correctly right now. He is an absolute mess, and there's no doubt about it that he is fractured beyond repair. Zach Gelb here with you on the Infinity Sports Network. A lot to get to from what was a very busy NFL Sunday. It's great to be back, even though I lost all my bets yesterday. It is absolutely sensational to have games to talk about. We know we got things started off on Thursday with the Ravens and the Chiefs. Reacted to that. Eagles and Packers. It's somewhat good news on Jordan Love that he's only going to supposedly miss a few weeks. I thought maybe his season was over. That was my first reaction to that game. Saquon Barkley, by the way, was tremendous with 3 total touchdowns. Sorry, man, I know that's going to upset you because you're a Giant fan. But with all that being said, my first reaction to the game, Eagles and Packers in Brazil, was, man, this field looks absolutely terrible. And it was slip and slide on the field. Now, it's just not because they were in Brazil. We saw it be slip and slide in the Super Bowl a few years ago when it was the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. But man, oh man, that field was in horrible condition. And then yesterday on Sunday, we had some surprises. There's no doubt about it. When you look at the Patriots, once again, beating the Bengals, you had a very good game between the Bills and the Cardinals, where the Bills come on back and Josh Allen was Superman. Caleb Williams didn't play well, but the Bears still found a way to pull a rabbit out of the hat. Texans and Colts was a very good game. The Jaguars puked one away against the Miami Dolphins. The Saints dominated the Carolina Panthers. The Vikings dominated the New York Giants. Chargers, that's Jim Harbaugh football. Good offensive line, run the ball. They beat the Raiders 22-10. The Seahawks, all this hype about Bo Nix and how great he is. He looked like Bo Picks yesterday as the Seahawks won 26-20 over the Broncos. And nice job by maybe the most underappreciated team in the NFL, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Brady's left. They went to the playoffs last year. They won a game. They beat I know it's the Commanders, and Daniels look good, but they beat the Commanders yesterday 37-20. Baker Mayfield, it's good to see his career restored. Heck, Cleveland would probably want Baker Mayfield back now instead of Deshaun Watson, who they have at quarterback. And then it ended off with a very good Sunday game where I think there's positives from both teams with the Lions and the Rams, but the Lions ended up winning in overtime, getting the ball and just driving right down the field, ground and pound, 26-20 over the Rams. So a whole lot to do. We'll take your reactions on the other side. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. Also, when we come on back, I got a few college football takes for you because as excellent as the NFL was on Sunday, we had a big day of college football on Saturday. Thomas Hammock, the coach of Northern Illinois, who beat Notre Dame. Ugh. Stu, bad weekend for you. Notre Dame on Saturday, Raiders on Sunday, but Coach Thomas Hammock is going to join us at 4:20 p.m. Eastern Time, and Tony Gonzalez, the Hall of Fame tight end, will join us at 5 p.m. Eastern Time today as well. Off and running, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Football is back, and what better way to celebrate than winning some cash with Sleeper Picks? Sleeper Picks is a fantasy game, but you can win real money. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If your picks are right, you win. You can pick up to 8 players to win up to 100 times your money. And Sleeper has a couple huge offers to kickstart the football season. For new users, Sleeper will match your first deposit with up to $100 credit to your account. If you've already played, Sleeper's got discounted player projections for you every week of the season. So download the Sleeper app now and use my promo code SCORE, and your first deposit will be doubled with a credit up to $100. What are you waiting for? Download Sleeper today and use code SCORE for a credit up to $100 match on your first deposit. That's code SCORE, SCORE. Must be 18 years in most states and in state where it is legal. Promo code and other restrictions apply. Visit sleeper.com. Please wager responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-426-2537 for help. And it's paid for by our friends at Blitz Studios.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Infinity Sports Network, and it is the Zach Gelb Show. We did a lot of NFL right out of the gate. We'll get back to it in just a little bit after our first NFL Sunday of the season is in the books, and Week 1 will conclude tonight with the JETS Jets with Aaron Rodgers going to Santa Clara to do battle with the San Francisco 49ers. But let me touch a little college football from Saturday. We'll start with NIU Notre Dame. NIU's head coach, Thomas Hammock, is going to stop by in about 55 minutes from now. Absolutely stunned. And that's the obvious statement that Notre Dame lost that game. Now, I thought Notre Dame, even though I did believe they were going to make the playoffs before the season did commence, it wasn't that I was confident in Notre Dame. It's the product of the sport now and the system of the sport that 12 teams get into the college football playoff. And this year it was designed, and for the foreseeable future, it designed for a team like Notre Dame to get in the college football playoff. Like, there's a lot of teams that we could be praising at the end of the year. Like, Penn State did not look good up against Bowling Green, which, you know what? I'm not going to crush Penn State, and I think this could actually help them as you move through the season, because they had such a big-time victory up against West Virginia. And that was just a dominant performance in Week 1 against West Virginia. And then they're playing Bowling Green Week 2 in a letdown spot. Players probably hearing all the praise that's being sung their way, and they didn't show up early. And quite frankly, it was way too close for comfort late, and there was times where they could have lost. But there's always a game when you have a good team in season that you win a game where you probably should have lost it. So I think this allows a little refocus for Penn State, who probably got too much praise in Week 1. And then in Week 2, you have your little come back down to earth moment. But a team like Penn State, they're going to make the college football playoff. But did they actually get better from where they've been the previous seasons? No, you're kind of just staying the same, but they've expanded the party from 4 teams to 12. So a team like Notre Dame, you thought they would get in, but I never thought Notre Dame was as great as what they were ranked. And I remember this summer I got into a big argument with Boyle, because Boyle was telling me that, Pat Boyle, who we love, that Texas is not as good as Notre Dame. And I was like, wait, how did Notre Dame get better this offseason? You don't have Audric Estime, and you don't have Sam Hartman, who I know wasn't great last year at Notre Dame, but Riley Leonard wasn't like this slam dunk upgrade of a quarterback since he transferred over from Duke. But with all that being said, even though I was down on Notre Dame, and even after Week 1, right, I made the point that I thought the Notre Dame victory against A&M, it was a good win for Notre Dame, but people were making it out like it was the greatest football win of all time. I said at the end of the year, I think you will see that win for Notre Dame says more about where Texas A&M is compared to where Notre Dame is. Because Texas A&M had no business being in the top 25 before the season started. But for Notre Dame yesterday to lose to Northern Illinois, it makes you, or on Saturday in Northern Illinois, it makes you totally reevaluate Marcus Freeman. And I think we all like Marcus Freeman. I want to see Marcus Freeman succeed. You know, I've had him on a few times. I like my conversations with him. But if you lose this game in year one to Northern Illinois, okay, that happens. How many times do we see a coach year one of a program lose a game that they have no business in losing? But he had that in year one. He lost to Charles Huff's squad of Marshall. For that to now happen in year three, week 2 at home, coming off a mega victory in the Notre Dame fans' eyes, beating A&M, to follow it up with your team not showing up at home. And it's one thing if you play sloppy and then you pull it off at the end of the game and you win the game and you just wipe a lot of sweat off your forehead. That's absolutely pathetic and embarrassing. And Stu, I don't see how it doesn't. I'm not saying he's going to get fired, but the Notre Dame fan now has to totally reevaluate where they're heading with Marcus Freeman, which after week 1, it was like, all right, as Scott Zolak would say, unicorns, show ponies, where's the beef? And then in week 2, it's like, oh my goodness gracious, we have a massive problem because the entire team wasn't prepared. The entire team wasn't ready to go, and they thought they could just show up to touchdown Jesus, right? And we're going to just beat Northern Illinois, and Northern Illinois stunned them on Saturday. Like when I saw that, because I was at a wedding, and that game was ending right as the ceremony was happening. So even though I may have been a little disrespectful during Nebraska-Colorado at the party where I was watching the entirety of that game and the other games before the ceremony started, but when the ceremony started, I put my phone away because, you know, I'm a respectable human being. And when I looked at the game ending and I got an alert that Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois, even though I knew the game was close, I was shocked, obviously. But Stu's the Notre Dame fan here. We already bashed Stu about his Raiders, but it's the Raiders. You expected them to suck. For Notre Dame, they at least teased you in week 1. But for them to lose to Northern Illinois, and no disrespect to Northern Illinois, hey, it's in the MAC. It's the MAC's first top 5 victory against a top 5 team ever. Northern Illinois' first top 10 victory of all time. That's just one of those games where you, Stu, being a Notre Dame fan, you got to reevaluate everything.
Yeah, you really do. I thought Riley Leonard, I wasn't saying that he was going to be like a Heisman contender, but I thought he'd be fine. I thought he'd be able to get the job done. Clearly, through 2 games, he doesn't have a passing touchdown. He looked pretty awful throughout the whole game on Saturday. Just he's a nightmare. They almost have to just, play one of the guys they actually recruited, like C.J. Carr, who's a true freshman. But at the same time, I think that's better than Leonard at this point. And for Freeman, yeah, like you said, this is year 3. Year 1, year 2, okay, it takes a while to build.
You don't love him, but you can at least understand a loss like that.
This is very bad because year 3, especially in Notre Dame, like Charlie Weiss, Brian Kelly, a lot of coaches have had a lot of success in year 3, like national championships, one-loss seasons. This is clearly, even though their schedule's pretty easy, now you look at some of these games like Louisville and Florida State and USC, it's like, okay, they could lose 4 games, and if they go 8-4, I don't think he keeps his job. I could be wrong, but I feel like the standards that they have, and if they don't make the playoff in a 12-team playoff where it's kind of made for them to make the playoffs, they just have to win 10 games and they'll be in the playoffs every year.
Well, that's the thing. It's like they could still go 10-2. But how could I have confidence in saying they'll only lose 1 more game the rest of the season when you go from beating A&M and then you lose to Northern Illinois? The rest of the way, you got Purdue, Miami of Ohio, Louisville's a top 20 team right now, Stanford, Georgia Tech, Navy, Florida State. That's like the ultimate, you have no clue what to expect type of game. Virginia, Army, and then you play USC at the end of the year, who's all the way up to 11 right now in the polls. So the schedule is still favorable, but I can't sit here and make any guarantees about Notre Dame because who would have thought they would have lost to Northern Illinois on Saturday?
Not me. That is probably one of the 2 games on the schedule that I would think would be an automatic victory. Nothing against them, but I just did not see them losing that game.
So NIU, Notre Dame, a big letdown for the Fighting Irish. Michigan, Texas. Texas, they are, I would say, the second best team in the country. Georgia's always going to get the benefit of the doubt. We haven't seen Ohio State play anybody yet. Penn State, you see good one week. The second week, not so much. You know, you look around here, Oregon, they're 2-0, but they're lucky to be 2-0 because they could have easily lost that game to Boise State. That's a statement of how great Texas can be. Because not that Michigan's a great team this year, but that's a program that is still good. Like, Michigan's still a good team. They're not a great team this year. And Texas flexed their muscles on third down, turnovers, and at halftime, that game was over. It was done. It was finished with. So a sensational performance by Sark and by Quinn Ewers and that Texas program going into the big house and not only just beating Michigan, but annihilating Michigan and just totally taking them to school. And that game never even had a prayer of being close. Now, the other takeaway, this Michigan offense blows. The offensive line, which has been awesome the last 3 years, is no bueno. Donovan Edwards had a great national championship game, had a good season 2 years ago. He is not off to a good start to what is a huge year for him. And in an era of name, image, and likeness and the transfer portal, it's amazing how poorly Michigan is performing at the quarterback position. Like, I thought Alex Orji was going to be the guy. That's why they didn't go make a big move for a transfer, right? Like, when you look at it, the fact that Davis Warren's been the starter for the first 2 weeks, how do they ever have confidence to begin with Alex Orji? They don't trust Alex Orji. And also, this is not Chris Leak and Tim Tebow, all right? That's clear. So if you're going to go with one quarterback, go with one quarterback. I'm not saying you can't have packages for Alex Orji, but when Michigan's moving the ball and they have like an imperative third down early in the game, you throw Orji out there and he gets stuffed. But that Michigan offense is rancid. And look at this, not even a full year later, but you see Kyle McCord with Syracuse and have a monster day up against Georgia Tech and a really good start to the season. The first 2 weeks for him, and credit to Fran Brown, Elijah Robinson, and everyone with the Orange Men of Syracuse. But you look at that at Michigan, why didn't they get Kyle McCord? I know you couldn't stand the guy's guts, and you're rooting against him when he was at Ohio State, and he didn't beat you guys in a big spot last year, and Rod Moore had the interception. But Kyle McCord would be 1,000 times better than whatever bull junk you have right now at the quarterback position for Michigan. So that's the part to me that's stunning, is that clearly Michigan was never confident with their quarterback play, but in an era of name, image, and likeness in the transfer portal, why didn't you go out there and get someone that would have been significantly better? So I got two more takes for you. Nebraska, Colorado. First off, credit Matt Rule, credit Dylan Raiola. He continues to make throws. I'm not saying he's Mahomes, but they're Mahomes-like. There was one where he rolled out to the right, threw the ball 40 yards downfield across his body down to the 2-yard line. That was insane. He keeps on doing the sidearm pass too. He's wonderful. Nebraska's just built properly in the trenches. And now the Cornhuskers, who are ranked in the top 25, they haven't been bowl eligible, by the way, since 2016 was the last time they made a bowl game. But you look at Nebraska here, don't have a letdown until that Ohio State game. And that's very feasible, where Nebraska could be undefeated going into that October 26th matchup at Ohio State in the Horseshoe. They play Northern Iowa on Saturday. They have Illinois on Friday, September 20th. Then they play at Purdue on a Saturday. Rutgers, who's solid this year, on October 5th. And at Indiana on October 19th. Don't have a letdown. You should win all those games. You'll be favorite in all those games. I'd be surprised if they aren't. You lose one, okay, it happens. But if they could be undefeated going into Ohio State, that would really be something. But it's good to see Nebraska somewhat back in the mix, because that fan base, and I've been there for a game last year, they deserve a winner. And the crowd in Lincoln was absolutely rocking. But on the other side, Coach Prime and Colorado, they just aren't ready for the prime time. They aren't. That performance, we knew that they were bad on the offensive line, and everyone told me, oh, they got better this offseason. They revamped the offensive line. The offensive line was terrible last year. So even if you improved it, which they failed to do so, how much better were you going to get? And you knew the answer wasn't going to be like incrementally better enough to say, okay, they're going to be a bowl team. Like, Colorado fans got so mad at me this offseason when I said they're going to miss a bowl game. They're going to be a 5-win team. Yeah, you have Shador. You have Travis Hunter. You got a few other players. But Nebraska's building a team. Colorado's just building stars. And I got to get on Shador, and I like Shador. But you walk off the field, and I know they said he was hurt, but then he speaks to the media afterwards. So if you were getting tested for a concussion and you're speaking to the media, like, that doesn't make sense. And you throw your offensive line under the bus. I get it. Your offensive line stinks. You didn't tell a lie, but be a leader. Don't leave the field early. You could have sat on the sideline for 2 more minutes. And even when we all know your offensive line stinks, don't throw your offensive lineman under the bus. You're supposed to be the leader of this team. But man, Colorado, that game was over at halftime. And I don't want to hear Coach Prime tell me afterwards, they like how they battled in the second half. You beat Nebraska last year. But Nebraska's building a team. Nebraska's building a program back up. And it just looks like Colorado, unfortunately, is just building clicks on the internet and attention from guys like LaShawn McCoy, right, and Emmanuel Acho, who always are talking about Colorado on FS1. And then finally, Ashton Genty is phenomenal. He's right in the thick of the Heisman race 2 weeks into the season. It stinks that Boise State lost that game because they easily could have won it. The special teams play was massive. You almost had that blunder where it was getting returned. The ball was dropped at the 1, but then it was recovered by Oregon. And Oregon, through the first 2 weeks, for a team that we were told, big-time field, national championship contending team, through the first 2 weeks of the season, they struggled with Idaho, and Boise State could go to the college football playoff and be that conference champion representative that's not in the core 4, the power 4, whatever you want to call it now. But so it's not like Boise State's some bad team. They're not. They're a really good program. But for Oregon to have to struggle to pull one out there against Boise State, now you're reevaluating Oregon, and we'll see if they'll be able to get this thing moving into the right direction before the season does come to a close. All right, those are some college football takes. It is Zach Gelb here with you on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll come on back. We'll update you some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We get to the news brief. But first up, with the latest Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash, here he is, the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, the Niners host the Jets in the first Monday night matchup of the season, and the Jets were in this spot last year, and 4 plays in, their season went off the rails when Aaron Rodgers suffered a torn Achilles. The 40-year-old is healthy and ready to go back home where he grew up, and of course, the Niners passed on him when they had the number 1 pick in the 2005 draft. The Jets haven't made the playoffs since 2010. The Niners hoping to get back to the Super Bowl and dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's on contracts in the final days of the summer. Brandon Ayuk is back and content, and Kyle Shanahan said it's as if he hasn't missed a beat.
They've been great. You know, they started throwing together. Saturday was the first time they came up here alone and just did it, and they've had, I think they did it Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and today, so they haven't missed a beat. You know, he'll get back in the flow of things. You know, so putting a lot on a guy just to expect him to be exact same way, but he does look that way in practice, and he'll get better each week.
Carolina Panthers defensive lineman Derek Brown could already be done for the year with torn meniscus. He'll undergo surgery. And Josh Allen is good to go for the Bills on Thursday despite injuring his left hand yesterday, while Cowboys tight end Jake Ferguson week to week with his sprained knee, and the Commanders have released kicker Cade York after missing 2 field goals yesterday. I'm Rich Ackerman.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is play Infinity Sports Network. That's it. Play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
For your daily news brief, we get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Time to ask the pros, where the listener gets to ask us a question. Is brought to you by our friends at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag #AskThePros. Be listening later in the show. We might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Let's hear from Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson yesterday in a 33-17 beatdown as his team got blown out by the Dallas Cowboys. He threw the ball 45 times. He completed 24 of those 45 passes for 169 yards. Also had 2 interceptions. Yikes. So he was absolutely horrific yesterday. But he says, Browns fans, don't worry. This isn't the sign of things to come.
Because it's 17 more weeks. We got 16 more opportunities. It's the NFL. Anything can happen. I started 0-4 in 2018. We won 11 straight, So it's one game at a time. You take it 1 week at a time. You get ready. Regardless if you win or you lose, you got to scratch that one to get ready for the next week. So anything can happen. Anything is possible. We got to watch this tape. It wasn't a pretty day for us, and we got to own it as a whole, especially me as the leader of this team and leader of this offense. Correct those mistakes, get back on the same page, and get ready for Jacksonville.
Yeah, here's the problem. You're referencing something from 2018. We all knew you used to be a great player. We're talking about something from 2018. That's the reference. And Manny's putting up 5 fingers, so you're saying that's 5 years ago. Jeez. That shows you where he's tone deaf. Because you didn't play in 2021. You were suspended, your fault, for most of 2022. You got hurt in 2023. It's now been a long time since you've had greatness. I don't think he'll ever be a great quarterback again. And quite frankly, I don't even know if he could be a good quarterback again. And look at that trade. The Texans, they're in a totally different spot now. And look who they now have. CJ Stroud is their quarterback. Heck, the guy that you basically moved on from to go get Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, he won a playoff game last year. And Deshaun Watson, yes, I know the Browns were in the playoffs last year, but it wasn't because of him. It was because of Joe Flacco. That's going to go down as maybe the worst trade in NFL history. You're monitoring. We already know the Russ thing was a disaster. But you are monitoring now Bryce Young in Carolina, because remember, they moved mountains to go get Bryce Young. And then Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. One of those two deals, it feels like you're in worst deal of all time type of territory. Here is Myles Garrett. This is one thing I'll give the Browns credit for. Unlike Dexter Lawrence, who basically told Giants fans they can't boo, and I like Sexy Dexy, Myles Garrett handled this the proper way when he got a question on fans booing him and the Browns yesterday.
Do you think, do the boos still hurt, or do you feel like the fans have a right to boo in a situation like that?
They have the right to tell us however they feel. Because, if we're not playing well, they have the right to boo. If we're kicking ass, they got the right to cheer. It's their privilege. They come in, they pay to see us do well, and we didn't. And we got to put on better performance if we expect them to go out there and support us in full force. So we got to be better, and that's all on us.
That's the proper way to handle that. Anytime you start a fight with fans, you're never going to win. Good job out of Myles Garrett. That's the only thing I could praise the Browns for yesterday. Let's go to Caleb Williams. Happy he's won, and he got his first NFL victory, being 1-0, beating Tennessee, but he knows that they could improve.
Obviously, we didn't perform how we wanted to. We want to be the most efficient team out there. Myself included, didn't perform the way that I wanted to. I missed a few passes that I normally don't miss, all of his other things. Obviously, it's great to get this first win. We're all excited. We went into the locker room, celebrated. I sat down, enjoyed the moment. And just watching all the guys celebrate, understand that I need to be better, I will be better, and then, just taking in the first win. It's unbelievable.
Caleb Williams should send Will Levis a jar of mayo, because Will Levis just threw that game away. That's number one. But number two, all kidding aside, a win like that shows you how good of a team the Bears could be, because their offense basically did nothing yesterday. And all offseason long, it was, hey, Roma Dunze, it was Keenan Allen, it was DJ Moore, it was Caleb Williams. And I know Keenan Allen and Roma Dunze both suffered injuries yesterday. But defense played a huge part in that, and it shows how well-rounded of a team, inevitably, Caleb Williams will put it together, I think, in Chicago. Kirk Cousins, TJ Watt owned the Atlanta Falcons yesterday. The Falcons are 0-1. It's not like the Steelers played a great game offensively, but Kirk Cousins wanted to chime in on his Falcons offense after their putrid Week 1 performance.
Disappointing, to lose. Certainly, it always is. Needed to play better. That's the bottom line. I thought our defense played very well. I thought our special teams played very well, and we didn't complement that enough on offense. You can start with the turnovers and then some untimely, penalties where we had a drive going and then it got kind of set back.
Here's the problem with Kirk Cousins. He's coming off an Achilles, so there's going to be some rust to knock off. But since they drafted Michael Penix Jr., I already know what Kirk Cousins is. He's good. He's not great. So I kind of want to see Michael Penix Jr. already, but they paid Kirk $180 million this past offseason, $100 million guaranteed. I think this is going to be one and done for Kirk in Atlanta. Not that the Falcons don't make the playoffs this year. They don't win the NFC South, but I think at the end of the year, Falcons fans are going to want to see Michael Penix Jr. And if you're Kirk, why would you want to stay in Atlanta when they've already drafted your replacement? Let's get to the Dolphins and the Jaguars. That was a crazy game. The Dolphins really had no business winning it. Travis Etienne just threw the game away. And that was the complete turnaround where he fumbled the ball as they were going in to put the game away. And then on 4th and 1, he ran like all over the place and couldn't get the first down. But before the game started, going to the stadium, Tyreek Hill was detained by police officers, and he was in handcuffs. This is Tyreek Hill in the incident.
I have no idea, for real. No idea. No idea, man. It's crazy. No idea. It wasn't disrespectful, because my mom didn't raise me that way. Didn't cuss. Didn't do none of that. So, like I said, I'm still trying to figure it out, man.
Every incident is isolated. Tyreek Hill saying, I wasn't disrespectful. My mom raised me to not be disrespectful, and some other things that have happened in his past. I don't think he could play that card. But yesterday's scene, and it's different from anything else that happened in the past, it was truly bizarre. And then Calais Campbell, who's like a Walter Payton Man of the Year, sees it, goes over, and he got handcuffed too. So I have no clue what happened. But I don't understand how that happens. It's like the Scotty Scheffler thing. Now, he got arrested, but you're going to a major golf championship. You're going to the Dolphins game. Everyone knows who Tyreek Hill is, and he gets handcuffed. So I want to know what the heck happened. But that was a wild and a surreal situation yesterday, and I really couldn't believe it. All righty, that's a news brief. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. What a quick hour number one of our radio program. We still have a whole lot more to do. Coming up on the other side, we discussed the Atlanta Falcons and Kirk Cousins and his abysmal performance yesterday. We told you on Friday, one of the things we got right about the weekend, that Justin Fields was going to start. But it wasn't a tremendous performance from Justin Fields. So now you still are wondering where the health of Russell Wilson is. And the Steelers go to Denver this weekend to go play the Broncos. So you know how much that means to Russell Wilson. What should the Steelers do at quarterback? Should they start Fields in week 2? Or if Russ is healthy, should they go back to the guy that they named the starter? We'll get into that on the other side. Also, Northern Illinois head coach Thomas Hammock is going to join us in about 25 minutes from now.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, rocking and rolling. Hour number 2 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Coach Thomas Hammock is going to join us from Northern Illinois after their huge victory against Notre Dame. He will join us 20 minutes from now. Tony Gonzalez, the Hall of Fame tight end, will join us at the top of the hour as well. So the Steelers-Falcons game, yikes. It wasn't pretty. So the Steelers win. We know their defense is unbelievable. TJ Watt is sensational. The only thing that could slow him down yesterday were the refs. And I look at TJ Watt. This may be bizarre in how I'm going to say it because he is considered to be one of the best defensive players in the league. I don't think he gets enough credit. And here's what I mean by that. He didn't win Defensive Player of the Year last year, and he led the league in sacks. He's led the league in sacks 3 out of the last 4 years. And it seems like people go out of their way to say that Myles Garrett is better. And that's the conversation. It's TJ Watt or Myles Garrett. And I do think you're splitting hairs there. But I do believe TJ Watt's the best defensive player in football. But people then try to throw Micah Parsons, Max Crosby, a few other names, and I love those guys. You know, Micah Parsons, a heck of a football player. You saw that yesterday up against Cleveland, where he was just beating Deshaun Watson like a drum. Max Crosby, that was not a good performance against Joe Alt. You know, if you want to do a little Baldy breakdown, Brian Baldinger inside the trenches, Joe Alt just manhandled Max Crosby yesterday. And that was very surprising because of how good Max Crosby is. But what TJ Watt did yesterday, he single-handedly won the football game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That offense is so bad for Pittsburgh, and they don't trust Justin Fields. And I know that Russ was supposed to be their starter, and then Russ has this lingering calf injury. But they didn't let Justin Fields really throw the ball down the field or take some chances consistently in that game. And TJ Watt was an absolute game wrecker. I almost feel like, in a weird way, that TJ Watt doesn't get enough credit, and we all know, if you actually watch the games, that he is one of the best defensive players in the NFL, but I'm here to say he is the best defensive player in the NFL. Like, if you ask me, who are the 3 preeminent defensive players in the NFL, I would think the 3 names that you have to have on every list. And I think most people put Micah Parsons there. You know, I do not. He's top 5, but not in the top 3. When you look at the 3 best defensive players in the NFL, Watt, Garrett, and don't forget about Chris Jones on Kansas City. Because Chris Jones on Kansas City, clutch play after clutch play in so many big games. And the Chiefs' defense the last year plus has been outperforming the Chiefs' offense. And a huge reason because of that is Chris Jones. But you look back at that Steelers-Falcons game, even though TJ Watt was the MVP of the game, the conversation that's going to derive from that is, what do you do at quarterback? And Atlanta's in a tricky spot next week. We know Kirk Cousins is their guy for the season. We'll see when there's a call for Michael Penix Jr. to get in. I'm not going to freak out after one game, but you lose that game to Justin Fields when the Steelers offense basically did nothing. And you now look at the Falcons. They go to Philadelphia week 2 on Monday night to go up against the Eagles. So you're going into a hostile environment in Philadelphia, an Eagles team that is better than you. And I feel like the Falcons, I know this goes back to Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. So is it really relevant to now? But no, it's past history. So that's why it gets brought up. And that's why we reiterate that. I can't tell you how many games I've been to, Eagles, Falcons in Philadelphia when I lived there. And it seemed like the Falcons would always be driving towards the end of the game, and they just couldn't get the ball in the end zone to Julio Jones. It always feels like the Vikings, outside of one moment, Vikings and the Falcons, which ironic is the Kirk thing, whenever they go to Philadelphia, they lose. There was one moment I remember the Vikings winning in Philadelphia. Remember that guy Linval Joseph, the defensive player? Where I think he picked up a fumble recovery and he ran it like 60 yards, and then he had the sunglasses on in Philadelphia, and he had an oxygen mask that was on. That was like the one positive Viking or Falcons moment that I remember when the Vikings or Falcons go up against the Eagles. So that's a rough start to the season for the Falcons. Not only do you lose to the Steelers, it's not shocking, but now you got to go to Philadelphia, and Saquon Barkley, he was fantastic for the Eagles in Brazil up against the Green Bay Packers. But the bigger conversation, and we cover it all here, right here on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I sound like Tom Brady there for a second. That was my one big gripe with Tom Brady broadcasting. Did he sound like a robot at times? Yes. Was he nervous? Yes. But someone's got to get in Tom's ear, and they got to tell him, stop using the word here. You're trying to illustrate a point, but he's like, right here, look here, right here, right. Every word out of his mouth, every other word out of his mouth was here, 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 here. It was like football here, ball here, score here. It was just too many times him saying the word here. But I do think Tom Brady's actually going to be a good broadcaster. I don't think he was horrible yesterday, but I don't think he was great. But anyway, when we get back right here on the Zach Gelb Show to the point that we were making to right here, it was the Pittsburgh Steelers here with their quarterback situation over there, but now we'll bring it back here. The Steelers should start Justin Fields this weekend. I don't think they will. If Russ is healthy, I do feel like in a bizarre way, because they basically owe him nothing, I feel as if the Steelers believe that they owe Russell Wilson something, which I don't get for the life of me. But Russell Wilson yesterday, this is going to, and Manny just signaled to me, and this is exactly what I'm bringing up, Manny. And we are, Manny, we are right here on the same page today. Russell Wilson, I thought he was inactive for the game, and he was. So I tune into the game, and credit to YouTube, they figured out the mix and match when you have Sunday tickets. So I had 4 games on one TV, and I could pick which games I wanted. It was awesome. So I put the Steelers and the Falcons on one of my TVs, in one of those quad boxes. I tune in, and I see Russell Wilson on the sideline in full uniform. I'm like, Russ, you're inactive. So I said, maybe when I was on Sunday Morning Football, I panicked. I'm like, oh, what I was reading, maybe I read it wrong. No, he was inactive for the game. And he was on the sideline, and I've never seen someone that's inactive for a game. It's one thing to be inactive and be on the sideline, but what, usually in sweatpants or something? With like a towel over your shoulders, I feel like is the usual attire if you're inactive for a game. but Russ was in shoulder pads. And that, to me, I know it seems simple and inane, but it shows you that Russell Wilson learned nothing from his time in Denver.
Mr. Unlimited.
Because Russell Wilson, when he was in Denver, he was just like the ultimate tryhard. He was like the uncool kid that finally got asked to sit at the cool kid table, and he was just really trying to be cool. And it's like, dude, it was just a bad decision by the cool kids to let you sit at the table. You're the farthest thing from cool.
I'm real excited.
So that was really bad by Russell Wilson yesterday. But the Steelers, I don't understand why they didn't rip the Band-Aid off with Justin Fields, and they basically had him be a game manager yesterday. And I know there's significant questions about Justin Fields. But if you're going to play him, do we have to do everything like dink and dunk? Like for one or two throws, let him air it out, but let him air out the ball more consistently. Now, I don't have great expectations for the Steelers, but the Steelers don't have great expectations going into this year. They haven't won a playoff game since 2016, for crying out loud. So why do you think you need to now suck up to Russ? And if Russ is healthy enough to play, why would you play him? You're 1-0. I know you didn't win that game because of the offense, but you are 1-0. I would play Justin Fields this upcoming week against the Denver Broncos, but I don't think Mr. Unlimited and Russell Wilson is going to get benched in this one. The only way he gets benched is if this calf injury is that significant enough where he physically can't play. And for him to miss the first game, it shows you how dangerous that calf injury is and how serious to some regard that calf injury is, because you open the door for this conversation. You have opened Pandora's box on who should start in week 2. And I think most Steelers fans, they look at this and they say, and I'm not a Steelers fan, but the way I look at it is, who has the higher upside now for the rest of the season? Is it Justin Fields or Russell Wilson? I know what Russell Wilson is. Russell Wilson used to be the guy. He is no longer the guy. His last 2 years in Denver were a bleep show, and I don't think he's going to revitalize his career in Pittsburgh. So I would go with Justin Fields, who, I'm not saying Justin Fields is great. I don't even know if Justin Fields is good. But at least there's still a question on what the ceiling could be with Justin Fields, because we're all mind bleep going back to what happened to him in Chicago and how they mishandled that situation. Now, some of that's on Justin Fields, but also a lot more of it is on the Chicago Bears. So let's go around the room here. If Russell Wilson is cleared to play on Sunday against the Broncos, Stu, who do you think is starting at quarterback and why for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Do you think they go back to Justin Fields, or do they say, hey, we're going to go to Russell Wilson?
I think if he's healthy, I think they go to Russell Wilson. And I think they play him for a few games, and if it's not very good, that's when they go back to Fields.
Do you think that's the right decision?
I don't. I would stick with Fields. I think, like you said, I think he gives them... He's more dynamic, and he has more room to grow.
And also, this offensive line is really bad. So
you need someone that can run.
I think you need some mobility. Someone that could at least extend the plays and give you a dynamic version. That's the other thing. Even if Russell Wilson's cleared to play on Sunday against the Broncos, and trust me, the Broncos are not a good team. You know, they have Pat Surtain. Their best player is a defensive player. He's the best cornerback in the league, in my opinion. But even up against the Broncos, doesn't it just feel like Russell Wilson is inevitably going to get hurt and leave the game at some point? I know you can't predict injury, but it feels like that's going to happen because he's not going to be 100%. He's just going to play because, oh, this is a revenge game. The guy, Sean Payton, that got rid of you and all that stuff. So if there's a way that you could just get cleared and he gets the thumbs up from the doctors, Russ is going to make a huge push to play. But is he going to be able to last through the game is my question. And behind this offensive line, I would say probably not. And the Steelers' offense just isn't dynamic. Like, Najee Harris and Jalen Warren are fine players. George Pickens is their most explosive playmaker. Pat Freiermuth is a good tight end. But if Russell Wilson, and I get it, Denver, it's like basically Denver all over again. Like, Denver didn't really have all these great playmakers. And Russell Wilson was absolutely putrid with the Denver Broncos. Manny, who do you think is starting Sunday? If Russ is cleared and he's allowed to play, do you think the Steelers have the cojones to do what is right and start Justin Fields?
No. I don't. I think they gave Russell Wilson the job for a reason, and I don't think Mike Tomlin will just stick with Justin Fields. I don't think he'll do Russell Wilson like that, and I think he'll go to Russell Wilson. I agree with Stu. As soon as he starts playing badly, though, yank him and see what you got in Justin Fields.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Justin Fields wasn't great in the game. He wasn't. So if he went out there and threw for 330 yards and 4 touchdown passes, sorry, Russ, it sucks, but you're not going to get your job back. As long as Russ is healthy, I wouldn't do this, but I do fully expect him to be starting coming up on Sunday as the Steelers are going to Denver to do battle with the Denver Broncos. It is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a break. When we come on back, the head coach at Northern Illinois, what an upset this was. Thomas Hammock and his squad, they walked into South Bend and they beat the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. We'll talk to Coach Hammock when we return. 13 past the hour. This is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll be back with Coach Hammock after these short messages. Football is back, and what better way to celebrate than winning some cash with Sleeper Picks? Sleeper Picks is a fantasy game, but you could win real money. Just pick more or less than at least 2 player stats. If your picks are right, you win. You can pick up to 8 players to win up to 100 times your money. And Sleeper has a couple huge offers to kickstart the football season. For new users, Sleeper will match your first deposit with up to $100 credit to your account. If you've already played, Sleeper's got discounted player projections for you every week of the season. So download the Sleeper app and use my promo code SCORE, and your first deposit will be doubled with the credit up to $100. What are you waiting for? Download Sleeper today and use promo code SCORE, that's SCORE, for a credit up to $100 match on your first deposit. That's code SCORE. Must be 18 years in most states and in state where it is legal. Promo code and other restrictions apply. Visit sleeper.com. Please wager responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-426-2537 for help. And it's paid for by Blitz Studios. Coach Hammock next. It is Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's lining it up. 5 seconds left. NIU up 16-14. 62-yarder. Snap, hold. Jeter's kick. It's blocked! It's blocked! It's blocked! Picked up by NIU! Picked up by NIU! The Huskies have done it! The Huskies with the biggest upset in NIU history! They come to South Bend, Indiana, and they knock off the number 5 team in the country. NIU 16. Notre Dame 14. The football gods were shining down on NIU.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
What a call. And that is Andy Garcia, our very own Andy Garcia on the NIU Radio Network. He is our affiliate coordinator for a long time, and he just so happens to be the play-by-play guy at Northern Illinois. I saw him tweet out over the weekend, right? At Notre Dame Stadium in South Bend, in the broadcast booth, and I see him put up a very nice photo, and then he goes on to have maybe the most memorable day of his life, as that is an unbelievable victory for Northern Illinois. They walk in to South Bend, Indiana, and they beat Notre Dame, and now Northern Illinois is a top 25 team in the country. Let's welcome on their coach, Coach Thomas Hammock, who's kind enough to join us right now. Coach, I saw you smiling when we were playing Andy's call. I would ask you how you're doing, but that's the dumbest question that I could ask you because I think I know the answer to that, so we appreciate you coming on.
No, thanks for having me. And Andy is a great friend of mine. And to hear that call, you can hear the passion in his voice. He wanted to be the play-by-play guy for NIU, and I'm glad he was able to have that moment.
Well, it was a wonderful moment indeed. So we heard Andy's call. Now give me your take. When that ball is about to get kicked, it's a 62-yard field goal. You know you're either going to have elation, euphoria, you win, or it's going to be absolute heartbreak. When the kick is obviously doesn't get there, just how did you kind of process that and what was going through your mind?
No, I couldn't believe it. At first, I was trying to figure out how long was the kick. I was like, that's a long ways. So I was trying to, what are the percentages of this guy making this kick? You try to think about all those scenarios. And obviously, when we blocked it, it took a lot of the pressure off that you didn't have to sit and hold your breath. We got on it, we got down, and it was just an unbelievable feeling to win that game in the fashion that we did.
When did it hit you? Like in the moment, I'm sure it's all a blur, but when was the moment that you got a chance to catch your breath and go, wow, this isn't a dream, this is reality for your program?
I think when I did the post-game interview, I'm normally not an emotional guy like that. And, I just felt a wave of emotions in that moment. I saw our players running down to our fans and thanking them for coming. And it just took me back to all the steps we had to take to help build this program to what it is now, all the players and coaches that were key pieces. And I was just flushed with a wave of emotion that was hard to explain. And that was the moment that it hit me.
I know we're only a few weeks into the season, but it's my favorite moment of the season so far was your post-game interview with NBC, just with the emotion that overtook you. I know this is your school. You played for them. You've been the head coach, obviously, for the last few years. But something that really stuck with me is you hear a lot of times coaches say, oh, these players, they're like my family, they're like my sons. But to see the emotion you displayed, it really speaks to the family atmosphere that you've been able to create at NIU.
I mean, I think that's real and authentic to us. We obviously don't have some of the resources like other places, but what we do have is love, and we love our players. We take care of them. I look after them no different than I would look after my own son, and I mean that. And I hate that cliche when coaches say that and they don't follow through with that. And so I'm on my coaches all the time. Don't tell me this guy's like your son, and then you don't treat him as you would treat your own son. And that's important to me. I know what transactional relationships look like. I spent 5 years in the National Football League, and I wanted this place to be different. NIU helped mold me into who I am today, and I want to have that same type of impact on the people in our program.
Coach Thomas Hammock with us. That's the MAC's first victory against a top 5 team. Your program's first victory against a top 10 team. And now you guys are ranked at 25 in the country. When you hear all those numbers, I know you still have a lot of season left, but to notice what you guys accomplished, just what does that mean when you hear all those stats riled off?
Well, it just means we are continuing along the process of what we thought we could become. We have a very senior veteran team that understands every day is a new day to prove who you are and what you're about, and they're continuing that process. We went into that game very confident and thought if we played well, we would have a chance to compete at a high level, and a couple plays went our way, and we was able to win. But now we got to continue to move forward, and our players understand that. The leadership on our team understands that, and we got 32 seniors that if you want to have the type of season you want to have and leave this program with a legacy, you need to continue to work.
How did you get your team to easily buy in? Because sometimes when you go up against a program like Notre Dame, who was ranked in the top 5, sometimes players, they get spooked out a little bit before the game, and they're a little bit nervous, and then they have too many mistakes early on.
Well, you got to study history. We played Utah in 2019. That was a really good football team that we played, and they beat us up pretty good. And then we played Michigan in 2021, and it was the best team I've seen on tape. And so we've had experiences with these type of opponents. When I watched Notre Dame this year, I thought we matched up well. And that's a testament to our offensive and defensive line. Normally those games come down to the trenches. And if you can withstand the punishment and the physicality of the game. And I felt like we are deep at those two positions, and we will have a chance to compete with them.
What did you say to your team after the game, just wonder, when you had a moment in the locker room with them?
I told them, I told you guys we didn't need luck, and that was validated through your performance. And so for them to get that reward was an outstanding moment and a memory that will last the rest of their life.
Coach Thomas Hammock here with us, Northern Illinois head coach, as they defeat Notre Dame. When a monumental upset like this happens, a lot of people just ask, how did Notre Dame allow this to happen? And there's a lot of criticism of Notre Dame, but it's also an opportunity for us to highlight your program and get a chance to talk with you. For people that have never seen your team or don't know much about your team, what do you want people to know about you and your program at NIU?
Well, we talk about the hard way, and the hard way means doing things the right way. We're going to be gritty. We're going to be tough. We're going to be physical. We're going to be disciplined. We're going to be focused. And we're going to handle our business off the field as well, in the classroom. So we are a program that's going to try to do the right things in every aspect. And I truly believe if you can reach the person, you can reach the player. And so we're going to make sure we have great relationships. And when things get tough and uncomfortable, we're going to fall back to the relationships and the brotherhood and the bonds that we formed to get us through those moments.
Like you mentioned, you've been in the NFL before. You played for NIU. You've been their coach now for a while. So a lot of connections in the football community. You get a win like this, everyone reaches out. Just what are some of those messages from some people that maybe mean a little bit more in the last few days?
Yeah, no, first of all, to have all the MAC head coaches, a lot of them reach out to me and say, congratulations, that was huge. We are competing for a championship in our conference, but, we're happy for each other in the non-conference to represent our program. And then I'm a huge Yankee fan. I think everybody knows that. And Aaron Boone reached out to me on Sunday, and I thought that was unbelievable. I mean, that just, for a guy from the East Coast, Jersey City, a Yankees fan through and through, and for him to reach out to me, hopefully I can reach back out to him after they win the World Series, because I did save his number.
That's awesome. How did he get in contact with you? Just wondering. Do you know?
Well, we got an alumni, Rick Cerrone, who's
sure.
He worked for the Yankees for a long time, and I'm sure he told him I was a huge Yankees fan.
Well, now you know the manager of the Yankees, so I don't think you need our help, but our company right down the hall is WFAN, the legendary sports talk radio station at the home of the Yankees. So if you need any tickets, Coach, just let us know. We can get you good seats right behind home plate.
Hey, I'm going to take you up on that. I promise you.
Let's go to a game. I'm definitely down when you have a little bit of an off season. I know there's not much off season now in college football, but would love to do it. So you talked about how confident your team was and where the belief was in your team as well. Just curious, Friday night before the game, what was the vibe like around your team, and what was your pregame chat like?
Well, I mean, it was an excellent vibe. I wanted them to understand we were playing the 2024 Notre Dame Fighting Irish because I told them, I said, we're not Rocket Ismail is not running down the tunnel. And they looked at me in a look that, led me to believe they didn't know who that was. I said, hey, have you guys watched the movie Rudy? No hands went up.
Wow.
I didn't have to worry about them being intimidated about the school and the nostalgia of Notre Dame. And so for us, it was very relaxed. They were confident. They knew we had a great week of preparation, and all we needed to do was handle the environment early. And we almost did not handle the environment early. Our first kickoff return, the young man let the ball bounce, and that almost turned into an ugly situation. But we were able to settle into the game nicely after that moment.
I think as a team, you guys have to watch Rudy, because that's the one movie that always makes my father cry. It doesn't matter. Whenever it's on, he's always crying like he's a big baby.
Listen, you thought my emotions after the game were tough. Rudy will make you Rudy will pull them heartstrings. I can promise you that.
And also, I have to personally thank you, because I always love when my producer can't have a good day. And he's a huge Notre Dame fan, and he walked in today and he was absolutely miserable, Stu. So thank you for beating Notre Dame. We appreciate that. We had a lot of fun on the air with that one.
Thank you. No problem.
Last thing I'll ask you, I was reading a bit about Ontario Brown, your star running back who had almost 1,300 yards last year, and he's gone through some things that no young man should have to go through in life with the loss of his mother and then also a very close friend as well. What kind of person is he, and how is your relationship with him? And just tell me a little bit more about him, because I was reading the story briefly.
Yeah, he's an unbelievable person. When you talk about dealing with adversity and coming out on the other side, he is the epitome of that message. He came here as a young man and has grown into a man. Our relationship is unbelievable. Obviously, I've coached running backs. I always have an extra eye on those guys. Some people think in our program I treat them like my son, but I love Ontario. I love how he's grown in our program, and I love the fact that he chose to stay with us for his senior year.
How did you get him to stay? Just wondering, because you see Ashton Genty at Boise State as well. Unfortunately, now when you're in a smaller program, you have success. You expect the player to get plucked by a bigger program. But how did you get him to stay with your program, especially after a monster season he had a season ago?
When he came to talk to me in December and told me some of his thoughts, I said, listen, you are a man now, and I have to respect, what decision you make. Obviously, I would love to have you come back. What we've been through and how we've grown together. And if you choose to, leave, like I said, you will always be one of ours. And, for a moment there, he said he was leaving. And then he called me back that night and said, you know what, Coach, I'm going to stay and stick it out with you. And I said, listen, I'm going to do everything in my power to give you an opportunity to reach all of your goals and aspirations. And that's all you can do.
And it obviously has paid off because, man, now he's on the map with what he did up against Notre Dame. And look what could have happened if maybe he went somewhere else. You never know how it's going to work out.
Yeah, I think he's one of the best kept secrets in America. And I'm glad he has a chance to start showcasing who he is and what he's about on a bigger stage.
You were with the Ravens from 2014 to 2018, so you have connections with the NFL. If they say, hey, why should we maybe take a flyer on him come April in the draft, just what would you say?
I would say he's better than guys that, have been drafted. He's better than guys that I've coached that have been drafted. He's a physical runner. He is faster than you think. He was a 10.7 guy in high school. He's 215 pounds with wiggle, great discipline, good vision. So it ain't many guys in the country that can do the things that he can do. And obviously he's shown his versatility as a pass catcher now. So it's just not many guys that have that type of size and speed and athletic ability to do things that he does with the ball in his hands.
Coach, heck of a win, heck of a story. Really appreciate your time. We'll connect on social media. We'll definitely get you some Yankee tickets. We'll get you some good seats for that. I don't think you'll need our help after a victory up against Notre Dame, but if we could do so, we will definitely take care of you. But Thomas Hammock, thank you for joining us, and once again, congrats on the victory.
Thank you, and go Huskies.
You got it. There he is, Coach Thomas Hammock joining us on the show. The win of the college football season so far with Notre Dame falling to Northern Illinois over the weekend. And when that kick was blocked, and then you hear Andy Garcia, a longtime affiliate coordinator who does the play-by-play, man, that was really special. So excellent stuff, and we appreciate Coach Hammock joining us. We'll take a timeout. Stu's got some questions for me. I got some answers. Do a little onside, offside when we return. And in 30 minutes from now, Tony Gonzalez, the Hall of Fame tight end, will join us on the Zach Gelb Show. Update time first. Here he is, the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And this report is sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance. The NFL season is off and running, and tonight the final game of Week 1 takes place in Santa Clara, where the 49ers host the Jets. San Francisco is coming off the Super Bowl loss to the Chiefs, and after a tumultuous summer, everyone is now happy that contracts have been signed. Quarterback Brock Purdy said everyone that missed time should be able to slide back in.
We all understand how we move, how we operate, and how we need to play within this system and with each other. So, Trent was gone for a little bit, obviously, but when he's come back in, it feels good. It feels natural again back in the huddle, and when I'm dropping back with him there, and same with BA and his routes, throwing to him for the last week or so, it all just feels pretty normal.
The Jets have renewed hope with Aaron Rodgers, recovered from his Achilles injury, suffered 4 plays into last season. The Panthers' season-opening loss to the Saints wasn't bad enough. They may have lost Pro Bowl defensive lineman Derek Brown for the season with a torn meniscus that will require surgery. Cowboys tight end Jake Ferguson is week-to-week with a sprained knee, while Bears rookie wide receiver Rome Odunze going for an MRI in his knee, and the Commanders released Cade York, who missed 2 field goals yesterday. I'm Rich Ackerman.
You make the call. 855-212-4227. When you want to talk to us, call 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I'm a chicken fried.
This is the Infinity Sports Network.
A pair of jeans that fit just right.
Just the impact on NIU's victory up against Notre Dame. I think the craziest part, and you hear this all the time whenever there's an upset like this, NIU, by the way, was paid $1.4 million to play Notre Dame. So, Stu, your squad paid NIU $1.4 million to get one big fat L. And a company called Zoomph, I think. Zoomph. Zoomph? Is that how you would say it? Partnership analytics for brand sports and esports. Know your data, know your value is what the account is. Northern Illinois finished their huge weekend #1 across all of college football for total X impressions. 2.5 more X impressions than the next top team and 1,445% exposure rate, meaning on average, content had 14.4 times more views than NIU's football following. How about that? That's crazy. That's a big number. And I'm just making, 1,445% exposure rate, meaning on average, content had 14.4 times more views than NIU's football following. Their football following now after the victory is 65,000 followers on X. So those are some numbers from the NIU victory. All righty. Anywho, Tony Gonzalez is going to join us in about 18 minutes from now at the top of the hour. We will chat it up with the Hall of Fame tight end for a few more moments. It is a Monday in football season, so we'll get to No Huddle Offense coming up at 5:20 p.m. Eastern time today. And we will give you a thought on the return of Aaron Rodgers tonight for the JTS Jets going up against the 49ers. But without further ado, and I'm not talking about Freddie Adu, it's time to get to a little onside offside. Stu's got some questions. I'll get to some answers. And Manny Rodriguez will hit the sounder right now.
Zach's taking on the most polarizing issues in sports. Which side of the line of scrimmage will he end up on?
Offside. Defense number 69.
It's Onsides, Offsides with Zach Gelb.
All right, Stuart, what do we got cooking today?
All right, Zach.
Outside of Notre Dame losing and then your Raiders being the Raiders.
Yeah, it's quite the weekend for yours truly.
You need some ice cream. I think we should get you some ice cream to try to cheer you up.
I don't need to be cheered up. I expect this from the Raiders, and I expect this from Notre Dame. Not this early in the season. It's not, as much of an upset, but I do expect both of those teams to let me down.
Was that painful for you? Now, we love Coach Hammock, and we appreciate him joining us, but when you have to screen him before you get him on the show, and this man just tormented you over the weekend, is that tough?
Well, luckily for me, how our situation is set up here, Manny was the one that gets to talk to him and set him up.
So you made Manny do your work because you were afraid to talk to Coach Hammock.
Basically.
Okay. Because you probably would have said, Coach,
thanks for nothing.
Oh, I can't even congratulate you. I can't even say thank you because you ruined my Saturday.
Look, I would have congratulated him. It's a wonderful win for them at my expense.
That Andy Garcia call is unbelievable. Hey, Manny, can you do me a favor? I think I missed it on the introduction for Coach Hammock. Can I just so happen to hear that call one more time when the 62-yard kick was blocked on the NIU radio network? Let me hear that one more time.
He's lining it up. 5 seconds left. NIU up 16-14. 62-yarder. Snap, hold, Jeter's kick. It's blocked! It's blocked! It's blocked! Picked up by NIU! Picked up by NIU! The Huskies have done it! The Huskies with the biggest upset in NIU history! They come to South Bend, Indiana, and they knock off the number 5 team in the country. NIU 16, Notre Dame 14. The football gods were shining down on NIU.
The football gods are shining down at NIU.
It's a pretty good call. It's a very good call.
Andy Garcia right there.
He nailed it.
Oh, we love Andy. We should make that your ringtone, I think.
Let's not do that. I would advise against that.
All righty. What do you got cooking on onside, offside?
All right. As we discussed to open the show, Dak Prescott became the highest paid quarterback yesterday, inking a 4-year, $240 million extension with Dallas. $231 million is guaranteed, and the signing bonus is $80 million, the most ever. Onsides, offsides, Dak Prescott will eventually get to a Super Bowl with the Cowboys.
Wait, playing in the Super Bowl with the Cowboys?
With the Cowboys, playing it, not winning a Super Bowl, but actually getting to a Super Bowl.
And he's not going to be the GM one day or the coach one day?
As a player, as the starting quarterback.
He's not going to be an announcer one day and still be associated with the Cowboys?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I think you know where I'm going on this one. Congratulations to Dak. Great week 1 performance by the Cowboys. He got his money. But Dak Prescott will eventually get to a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. Maybe in Madden, but not in an NFL field. So that is offsides.
Offside.
He's good. He's a good quarterback. He's not great, though. You're paying your quarterback $60 million. You had no other choice pretty much but to pay him. And you know you're not getting to a Super Bowl. But you beat Cleveland in week 1. Cleveland stinks. Let me take that back. Deshaun Watson stinks. All righty, next one. Let's go.
The Packers fell to the Eagles on Friday night 34-29, but it was much worse than that as quarterback Jordan Love suffered an MCL injury in the final moments of the loss. While the injury is not season-ending, he will miss some time, but according to Tom Pelissero of NFL Network, the team is not expected to reach out to free agent quarterback Ryan Tannehill, despite other reporters saying that they would. So onsides, offsides, the Packers should sign Ryan Tannehill to take over for Jordan Love.
You want to talk about a fall from grace? How about Malik Willis? At the end of the game, he couldn't even get the Hail Mary attempt off. You get on the field, and he couldn't even fire the Hail Mary attempt. Is Malik Willis the starting quarterback there now still? Right?
It seems like that, yeah.
Remember that guy was supposed to be a first-round pick out of Liberty. And then he didn't even go to the third round. And that dude, he was in Tennessee, and now he is the backup in Green Bay. See, I could say if it's only a 3-week injury, is Tannehill going to get up to speed with the playbook and all that stuff? But Baker Mayfield, remember a few years ago, went right to the Rams and then played really damn good. So they play Indianapolis. Oh, they play Tennessee and then Minnesota. Love's out at least 3 weeks. And you ask me, the Packers should sign Ryan Tannehill to take over for Jordan Love? Yeah, until Love is ready to come on back. Ryan Tannehill is better than Malik Willis. Oh, can you imagine that whole dynamic? Because they were in the same quarterback room as well, Tannehill and Willis. So I would say on sides, the Packers should sign Ryan Tannehill over Jordan Love.
All right, week 1 always seems to offer some surprises and upsets, and this year was no different as the Bengals fell to your Patriots by a score of 16-10. Now, T. Higgins did not play due to injury, and Jamar Chase was limited to just 62 yards and no touchdowns.
Oh, my God. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
I knew he was there. I thought he got cut. I didn't know he was still on the team. Maybe he was on the practice squad.
The Penn State
Sean
guy.
Clifford.
Yeah, practice squad, right?
Yeah, who was at Penn State for like 800 years, and Hickey rocked out of the Rose Bowl drunk as a skunk after Sean Clifford got a victory. That was the quarterback. He was like, Sean Clifford, 8 years, no big deal, no big deal, no big deal, no big deal.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I was more coherent just saying that than when Hickey actually was. I don't even know how we transcribed Hickey and was able to figure out what the heck he was saying. But Matt LaFleur did announce a few moments ago, if Jordan Love is not clear, Matt LaFleur said Malik Willis will start and Sean Clifford will be the backup. The Packers are not going to put Love on IR. They have no plans to bring in another QB. That goes back to what you were said, but there was some clarity on that 8 minutes ago. So,
okay.
From Rob Domofsky, covers the Packers.
All right.
You continue your question. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good. And obviously, talk about the Bengals falling to your Patriots. No T. Higgins. Jamar.
Sorry, what was that? I missed that.
Your Patriots, 16-10.
They're 1-0?
1-0.
Huh. I didn't think we were going to win a game for like at least the first 9 weeks of the season. They are 1-0.
1-0.
We're back, baby. We're back. Back in the penthouse. Unlike you two losers. Giant fan, Raider fan.
Onsides, offsides, you are concerned about the Bengals following their week 1 loss.
I just blew a kiss to Manny. He was giving me like the death stare. I thought he was going to come in the studio, and that was going to be it for one Zach Gelb during the break. Am I concerned about the Bengals following their week 1 loss? Manny does have a baseball bat in his hands, a wiffle ball bat. That wouldn't do much damage. You get a real baseball bat, sure. A wiffle ball bat, I think my bicep would break that wiffle ball bat. No, it's not because I'm like really strong. It's just a big bicep. A lot of skin there, if you know what I'm saying. You were concerned about the Bengals following the week 1 loss. I will say on sides. Now, they've done this before. We know they lose early on in the season. They find a way to put it together. But that offensive line's a problem. And then here's my bigger concern. The defense, which has been really good the last few years in Cincinnati, made the Patriots' offensive line look good. I was told this was going to be like one of the worst offensive lines ever for the Patriots. T. Higgins didn't play in the game. Jamar Chase was shut down by Tony Gonzalez, who I think is going to be a stud. So I do have some concern about the Cincinnati Bengals. They need Burrow healthy, and he got banged up a little bit yesterday, but there's a lot going on with Cincinnati, so I'll actually say onside to that one. They lost to the Patriots. I know I'm wearing a Patriot shirt today. I'm very happy. The Bengals, I don't care how many times you lose in week 1, you shouldn't be losing to the New England Patriots.
All right. Speaking of my Raiders, who fell to the Chargers 22-10 in Jim Harbaugh's debut for Los Angeles, a lot of attention has been on Vegas' head man Antonio Pierce. The Raiders trailed 16-10 with the ball at LA's 43 with just over 7 minutes left. But instead of going for it on 4th and 1, the Raiders punted, and the Chargers scored a touchdown on the next drive. It's the first 4th and 1 punt in plus territory when down a score in the fourth quarter since Rex Ryan did so when he was the Bills coach in 2016. And over the last 5 years, it's the first time.
And Rex only punted because he wanted to see the feet.
That's right. That's a good point. It's also the first time in 64 occurrences that a team did not go for it in their opponent's 40 with a 4th and 1 trailing in the fourth quarter. So just one of 64. Onsides, offsides, Pierce deserves criticism for not going for it on 4th down.
So when I saw this, I thought I was missing something. He was on LA's side of the field, not his own side of the field.
Not his own. LA's 43.
I don't care if you are like the most conservative football person ever. You got to go for that there. So yeah, Antonio Pierce deserves criticism for not going for it there. That makes no sense. On sides. Yeah, he deserves to be slammed for that. It's a bad job by your coach.
Scoring was down around the league in week 1 as NFL teams averaged just 174.7 net passing yards and 293 total yards per game on Sunday. Both of those are the lowest of any NFL Sunday in the regular season in the last 20 seasons. So onside, offsides, the lack of preseason action for starters is to blame for the lack of offense in week 1.
Yeah, onside, and it's probably going to carry over until October, because the teams don't play their guys in the preseason, and they tell you about these joint practices and how much better they get you ready for the season, but it still doesn't mean that you're going to have a clean, crisp product right out of the gate. All righty, last one. What do we got?
All right, last one. The NFL announced that Kendrick Lamar will headline the Super Bowl 59 halftime show in New Orleans. Onsides, offsides, you are excited for a Super Bowl halftime show headlined by Lamar.
I guess so, just because of the Kendrick Lamar-Drake beef, even though I was kind of done with that. I was surprised the NFL goes with Kendrick Lamar. You got to play They Not Like Us. And that's going to turn into like a dance party. And there's always like a meme that gets showed during that of like Bloods and Crips coming together to basically just bash Drake. And there's a lot of accusations about Drake too, which I don't know if the NFL necessarily wants to air during a halftime show. But how do you not play that song? I would have gone with somebody else. You know, Lil Wayne's been thrown out there. I would have been fine seeing Lil Wayne. I would love if Jay-Z would ever do the halftime show one of these years. Taylor Swift would have been pretty damn cool. She's basically the NFL's most popular person these days. But you asked me, you're excited for a Super Bowl halftime show headlined by Kendrick Lamar. I'll actually go on sides, even though, you know, I like Kendrick. I would have gone with somebody else, but the whole They Not Like Us and Drake stuff, yeah, that's going to be good. It's going to be really good. All righty. It is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network, so I guess I'll go on sides on that one. We'll take a timeout when we come on back. Pro Football Hall of Famer, one of my favorites, Tony Gonzalez, will join us on the other side. We'll get his thoughts from a very, very busy week 1 of the NFL season that will come to a close tonight, week 1, when you do have the Jets going up against the San Francisco 49ers, the return of Aaron Rodgers.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
All righty, hour number 3 of our radio program. That's right, it is the Zach Gelb Show after a huge football Sunday on this Monday. Week 1 comes to a close tonight as you have the return of Aaron Rodgers leading the Jets into Santa Clara to do battle with the San Francisco 49ers, the reigning NFC champions. By the way, Thursday Night Football streams exclusively on Prime Video, Thursday nights throughout the NFL season, beginning this Thursday with pregame coverage starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. And obviously, someone that is a part of that is the Hall of Fame tight end, and that is Tony Gonzalez, who's kind enough to join us right now once again on the Zach Gelb Show. Tony, great to see you. Thanks so much for doing this, and how you been?
I've been well, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. Let me start you off with your Chiefs. They opened up the season with the victory, and Kansas City's defense continues to be the story for me. Last year, they did a huge, big effort in going out there and winning that Super Bowl, and I thought the defense outplayed the offense. And the offense still work in progress, but showing some bright signs in Kansas City when trying to get Patrick Mahomes some more help.
Yeah, well, they did what they had to do. Everybody was talking about their offense last year all season long. They dropped too many balls. They're inconsistent. And you know, they had a point. But I had said it all last year. You still got number 15. And I know he's not catching the ball, but those guys will get it right. And they showed up in the playoffs, obviously. But they still had to address it. Even though they won the Super Bowl, and going out there and getting someone like Isaiah Worthy and getting Hollywood Brown to go along with Travis Kelce working underneath and Rashee Rice, who's only going to get better. Obviously, I got people on the ground out in Kansas City. They say this guy is a guy. This guy could be one of the top receivers in the NFL. He has that type of ability. I think offensively, they're only going to get better throughout the season. And that defense, like you said, is a strength for them. I see no reason why they will not go out there and do what they did last year. Go to the Super Bowl. If they stay healthy, they're my top pick again this year. But a lot of that has to do with that number 15. He is a special talent, man. And you gave him all these little Ferraris and all this speed now. to go with Isaiah Pacheco, who runs the ball like he's never going to carry a ball again. It's going to be a special year for the Chiefs if they can stay healthy.
Tony Gonzalez here with us, and Kelsey didn't even have one of his Kelsey performances in the game on Thursday night, but we know what he's been able to do in his career. Let me ask you, because you're obviously in this conversation, maybe some people's answer, like, who do you look at as the greatest tight end of all time, in your opinion?
Well, looking around, I love Kellen Winslow. I know that's going back. Dan Fouts and that Don Eric Coryell offense. I think Travis obviously is going to have his take at that, especially from a numbers standpoint. Gronkowski, love him. That combo tight end guy will block you as well as catch the ball. Antonio Gates, I think, deserves to be up there. There's just been a lot of really, really good tight ends at this position, especially this young prop coming up right now with like Kincaid. You look at the guy from the Lions, Lepeto. Why am I forgetting his name? De La Porta, I'm sorry. Those are some really good tight ends coming to the league for sure. And of course, I put myself up there.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you're leaving yourself out of the conversation here, Tony Gonzalez.
No, I'm in it. I'm definitely in that damn conversation.
Yeah, and that is not a crazy take whatsoever. You also ended your career with the Falcons. Yesterday, they lose to the Steelers. TJ Watt, what else can be said at this point? Kirk Cousins struggled coming back from the Achilles. They have Philadelphia on Monday night. Are you concerned about the Falcons right now?
You know, looking at them, that was not the way you wanted to start it. It's not what I thought was going to happen. I thought Kirk was going to go out there and do what Kirk does. You know, go out there and you like that. And let's see some plays down the field. He's got some weapons, got Bijan, which I thought they did a nice job of getting him the ball. But, you know, as far as passing yards and efficiency, it just didn't look right. I'm going to chalk it up as the first game. They still got to get used to it. Nobody played well. His offensive scoring was down. It was a 20-year low. Guys were not out there passing the ball like they normally do. And maybe that's because they don't have the preseason work and all that good stuff. But as the season goes on, they'll start to build that rhythm and start building that trust. But you got a guy like Kyle Pitts, who could be a great tight end in this league as far as I'm concerned, athletically and his ability. He could be a dog. And then Drake London, I think you got three guys as long to go with Bijan. Those three guys right there could be a great nucleus to go out there and be an explosive offense. And that's what I expect to see out of him. And if not, he might get benched. If not, Kirk might be on a short leash there. They got a great backup quarterback who can certainly play, and he might not be there at the end of the season if he doesn't start to turn this thing around and do it quickly.
Tony Gonzalez here with us on the Zach Gelb Show. On the other side, I know you're talking about Michael Penix Jr. Potentially replacing Kirk Cousins. You know, they drafted him out of Washington, but then you look at the Steelers. We all thought Russell Wilson was going to start. Then he gets hurt. It's Justin Fields. He wasn't great in the game. Russ has a matchup next week up against his old team in the Broncos. If he's healthy, Russell Wilson, do you think Mike Tomlin goes back to Russ, or will they play Justin Fields, who they ended up having to start in week 1?
I don't know. You know what? That's a good question. Knowing Mike Tomlin, though, he probably was going to start him. I mean, obviously they saw something out of him that said, hey, he gets the nod over Justin. But I thought Justin played like Justin does. I mean, nothing spectacular. Gets out of some situations with his legs. Didn't turn the ball over. That's what it was. It's kind of like his big deal. He doesn't turn the ball over. He can be efficient. They got great defense. They can run the ball. It's an ugly version of football. Russell Wilson, is he going to be that much more of an improvement? The only thing I could see is maybe him going against his old team, and Mike Tomlin wants to be, when you put great players, or, depending on, it's arguable at this point in his career. I don't know if you'd call him great, but he was great for a while. That magic might come back, especially going against your old team. There's nothing like going against your old team and to go out there and prove to them and to everybody who's watching, like, hey, watch me go out there. His game might elevate a little bit for this. And Mike Tomlin might see that and say, hey, let's give him the start. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, I think if he's healthy, I think they're going to play him. But I actually think the right decision would be, hey, you're 1-0. I know Fields wasn't great in the game, but just continue to go with what worked in week 1 that got you guys a victory.
Yeah, there's something to be said about that, too. I wanted to say that, but as I was talking and I'm thinking, I know if that was me, if I'm Russell, and I'm like, hey, man, this is my old team. I know these guys. Let me go out there. I promise you I'm going to bring my A game. And he's on the cusp or arguably a Hall of Fame caliber type guy. Maybe he can bring some of that magic back and for going against his old team. But I guess if you're going to be conservative and you want to go with what works, then, if it ain't broke, why fix it? And Justin Fields played well enough where he deserves to probably start again. I see that argument.
I think one of the toughest things for a player, Tony Gonzalez, is when you were once great and then you're years removed from being great and you're trying to chase those great moments still. Is that what we're just seeing right now with Deshaun Watson, who has not looked like a great quarterback since 2020? Because yesterday, that entire offense was terrible up against the Cowboys, but it's a major cause for concern seeing how the Browns season started with their quarterback.
Yeah, that's not good football. He's not playing well. I would put him on a short leash, a real short leash. And, they got rid of Joe Flacco because they didn't want to have this controversy. Because if Joe was there, they would have been like, hey, bench him right now. Let's put Joe back in there because he's the one who played really well for them down the stretch last year. But I don't know what's going on. It's the injury. Mentally, the confidence is gone. He does not look like that old player, that $230 million. This might go down as, kind of like the Russell Wilson contract. This contract might go down as one of the worst in NFL history if he's not able to turn it around right now. But that's not high-level quarterback. And if I'm a teammate, especially if I'm someone like Myles Garrett and these guys out there in the prime of their career, and you want to go out there and make a push and get to the playoffs, you have the surrounding, you certainly have the defense. It's a great defense, and you're just going to squander it by trying to give this guy time after time to get it right. A short leash. Maybe this game, next game, another 2 games, and if we keep seeing that, then they got to make a change, and it's time to move on from him.
And Jameis Winston would be that next guy off the bench, Tony. So that would be something.
Yeah. Put Jameson in there. I mean, Jameson too, but Jameson is so erratic. You never knew what you're going to get. But then I would be hoping for the great out of Jameson. Jameson can heat up and he can play with the best of them. If he's not turning the ball over, you just look at his numbers, which is a big part of the game, of course. But if he can just not throw the ball, maybe 1 turnover, that's it. With that defense, they can afford that. Then I would definitely go with Jameson for sure.
All right, I know you got to run. Thursday Night Football streams exclusively on Prime Video Thursday nights throughout the NFL season, beginning this Thursday with pregame coverage starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time. I don't know if you know this. You probably don't. My old producer, we call him Ryan Hot Take Hickey. He would used to attack you for these Prime Video pregame shows because you would wear gloves early on in the season and he would question your toughness. I told him he's an idiot and you would kick the crap out of him either way. But he says that you're no longer a tough guy because you wear gloves outdoors in maybe some warm weather.
Is that right? Shoot, I'm from California, okay? I was born and raised, and I like sun. I like nice weather, okay? I moved to Austin for about 3 years, just moved back this year. And you know why? Because it was too hot. I don't like it too hot. I don't like it too – call me Goldilocks. Goldilocks Gonzalez. I need it nice in the middle, and that's my problem. And if I want to wear gloves, I'm going to wear gloves. Forget you. And it's coming out again, I promise you. I'm going to wear gloves again this year because I like to be comfortable.
I love that. I can't wait to reach out to my producers my old producer in the hallway right now and say, Tony Gonzalez says, shut your mouth, and if you have a problem with it, he'll kick your ass.
Good. Tell him that.
You got it. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate the time.
All right, bud. Thanks, Zach.
There you go. Once again, Thursday Night Football streams exclusively on Prime Video Thursday nights throughout the NFL season beginning this Thursday with pregame coverage starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time. That's a true story. One of those games with Tony Gonzalez that he was doing last year was or maybe it was 2 years ago, because now I think it was the 3rd year of Prime Video. Hickey comes in and he goes, I have to bring something up. And I'm like, okay, what do you got to bring up? And this was live on the air. He goes, Tony Gonzalez, I think it was one of the Thursday night games in Cleveland, I want to say. It was like early October, 65 degrees or something like that. He goes, he's wearing gloves. And I go, all right, maybe he's cold. That happens, right? There's times I'm in Florida, I'll be in shorts and a T-shirt, and it's 65 degrees, 70 degrees, and I'll see people as they're getting ready to go to Bagel Emporium down in South Beach in their North Face, which I never get. But if you're cold and you want to warm up, you wear a jacket or you wear some gloves. But I'm not. I think it was the maddest I've ever seen Hickey. He was irate about the great legendary Tony Gonzalez wearing gloves. Do me a favor, Stu. Can you go get Hickey real quickly? I should have brought Hickey on to fight Tony Gonzalez. And I knew we were having Tony on, but it didn't even process with me. until I was talking to him at the end, and I'm doing the Amazon Prime read for him. And I'm just thinking to myself, oh, man, we tried to get Tony on the last year and a half, and we weren't able to. And now I don't work with Hickey on a daily basis, even though he joins us in football season each and every Wednesday. Have you been able? I know that's a tough get right now, Stu. Oh, he's giving me the thumbs up. So here comes Hickey. The hair looks all right today. Looks decent. You could tell he was just coming back from a wedding. So maybe a little bit hungover there, so I didn't have time to comb his hair. We just had your guy, Tony Gonzalez, on. Yeah, turn his mic on.
Really?
Maybe. Yeah.
Tony came on the show.
Mm-hmm. And I brought up your criticism of him of him wearing gloves when it's like September, October.
Okay.
And he said he will kick your ass. I may have put those words in his mouth. And that he will continue to wear gloves. And he's not going to listen to you just bullying Tony Gonzalez.
Two things. Number one, he's still very soft for wearing the gloves. Two, I respect him. I respect the fact that he is aware of the criticism and still continuing to act the way he does. I will give him credit. The mob is not, I mean, it may be a one-man mob, myself only.
Just you.
But listen, it's a fact. But good for, you know what? Tony's comfortable in his skin, fine. But so am I. Come on. You have to agree with me. That's a soft move.
No.
When it's 65 degrees outside, you do not need gloves.
He's from California. He's cold.
He played most of his career in Kansas City.
And maybe he was cold in Kansas City.
And guess
Could
what?
you imagine how great of a tight end he would have? He's already an all-time great tight end. Imagine how great he could have been if he played in a warm weather environment.
Oh, my goodness.
Something to think about. And you wear gloves on a football field anyway.
Yeah, those gloves are not making it warm. When it's 10 degrees and the wind is whipping in Kansas City, there's no wide receiver gloves.
I messed up. I fumbled. This was my Deshaun Watson moment. I played just horribly in week one. We're doing a show off week one. I should have brought in you to debate Tony Gonzalez because you would have not held back here. You could have. Your cojones could have been in your mouth. You may have been so afraid. But
afraid of what? He's going to jump through the phone and beat me up?
You put you under the spotlight a little bit, right under the microscope. You could have had some verbal diarrhea.
No, I'm not sure. Listen, I'm not saying I could beat up Tony Gonzalez, nor would I ever want to. He seems like a very nice guy. All I'm saying is it's a soft move for him to wear gloves. I would say that, not to his face, over the phone.
Mm-hmm. Well, he told me when he sees you at Radio Row, he's going to pancake block you.
Probably with gloves on. So, okay, fine.
Do you have the answer here? This was Tony Gonzalez when I revealed to him that you are the clown that's been attacking him for the last year plus and sending him nasty messages about wearing gloves on Prime Video.
Is that right? Shoot, I'm from California, okay? I was born and raised, and I like sun. I like nice weather, okay? I moved to Austin for about 3 years, just moved back this year, and you know why? Because it was too hot. I don't like it too hot. I don't like it too. Call me Goldilocks. Goldilocks Gonzalez. I need it nice in the middle, and that's my problem. And if I want to wear gloves, I'm going to wear gloves. Forget you. And it's coming out again. I promise you. I'm going to wear gloves again this year because I like to be comfortable.
Forget you. That's a Hall of Famer. The brand of hot take Hickey. Forget you.
Diva. But you know what? I respect the fact that he admits it. I give him credit. The self-awareness is there for Tony.
What's your biggest take? NFL. What's the biggest take from what you saw this weekend? Patriots are 1-0. Your loser football team's 0-1.
The Falcons are not going 14-3.
Oh, I forgot about your prediction.
That's right. That's a tough one. Yeah,
they're going to be
right on the TV here. Not good.
They're going to be 0-2.
They will probably be 0-3.
Forget you.
Who do they play after Philadelphia?
Chiefs.
You know? Oh, boy.
So, yeah.
That's such a shame.
Yeah, not good.
Such a shame.
Buccaneers twice on the schedule.
Stu, I like that we're going to have Hickey on every Wednesday. Because as bad as my predictions were this weekend, 14-3 for the Falcons. Whew.
Not good.
It's going to be a fun Wednesday show. College football, biggest take?
I mean, I was right about Michigan. Come on. Listen, I will fully admit when I'm wrong. Could not have been more right. Almost to a T.
Here's the thing,
though.
A little disingenuous for you to take a bow about you saying Michigan was going to get blown out by Texas, where last year you picked against them every step of the way.
I was wrong every step of the way. Yeah, admit it, hand up. I was wrong. But this one, nailed. So there it is.
No, you're right. You're 100% right. They got blown out. Michigan stinks. Texas is looking like a great football team. I think the second best team so far in college football. But I thought it was weak. One thing I'll call you out on, and I know I got to take a break. Penn State losing to Bowling Green. I know Bowling Green ended up losing the game, but they were losing at the time. I see 8 tweets about Michigan from you, but nothing about your alma mater losing to Bowling Green.
Never a doubt. Come on. Look, it was fun.
You said they were
going
to win by 3 touchdowns. They almost lost the game.
There was never a doubt they were going to lose the game, the win the game. The spread was gone. Fine, whatever. They were never losing that game. They sleptwalk in the first half. They didn't respect their opponent. Bowling Green is probably better than anyone would ever assume. At least I'll say better than I assumed. They won the game. They weren't. You know what they weren't, Stu? You know who they weren't?
They weren't.
You know who they weren't? And this season, all that matters is survive and advance. You win the game by 30 or 3. That's all that matters.
Stop. You double dipped, though. You were a Notre Dame fan, and now you are a Penn State fan. You can't take a shot at Stu. I could take a shot at Stu, but you can't take a shot at Stu when you used to be a Notre Dame fan. That's like dirty what you just did.
It's the truth.
You dumped Stu.
It's the truth.
And then when you moved on for Penn State, you came back when Stu's in a bad moment and you just stabbed him in the back.
Look, I'm there to, if Stu wants to cry, my shoulder's available, Stu, for you to cry on, okay? I'm not going to just jettison you and pretend like I'm, better than you because Notre Dame lost and Penn State won. I have sympathy. I like Notre Dame. I want to see them succeed. But the reality is they lost a game, and now this is not the first time Marcus Freeman at home has lost a game like this. Yeah, exactly right, and almost lost to Cal. There's been too many close calls to Marcus Freeman so far early on, but that shows you right there. That game right there by Notre Dame shows you why I don't care how they looked against Bowling Green, Penn State. They won the game. That's all that matters.
Last thing I will say, I was actually watching the game in a bar where there was a lot of Penn State fans in Conshohocken.
Now we're talking.
The Penn State fans were hilarious. It's the most I thoroughly enjoyed being around Penn State fans because they're all like, James Franklin is in midseason form. They were trashing James Franklin for that performance against Bowling Green. So I appreciate that.
It was not pretty. The first half was pretty bad. That defense got shredded.
Second half was pretty ugly too.
It was not great. It was better, but overall not great. You flush it and move on.
Penn State's the same team they've always been. Just now they'll get in the college football playoff because they went from 4 to 12.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. I mean, they're a top 10 team most years, and now that they'll get in. So I'm with you.
Beat Ohio State, though, please.
I hope so.
Because I'm sick and tired of the Ohio State fan basically pretending like they were Texas over the weekend, dancing on the grave of Michigan. How about your pathetic coach, Crying Day, actually finds a way to beat Michigan, where they lost the last 3 years? Enough of the Ohio State fan. You know what? I am rooting for Penn State against Ohio State.
Wow.
We are Penn State. I got to go wash my mouth out with soap. It's the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will come on back. No Huddle Offense next. Sports fans, listen up. 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and bladder leaks can be a side effect. That's why Depend is teaming up with the Prostate Cancer Foundation to encourage screening, because health is a long game and it's yours to win. Now, here's the cool part. Through November, Depend is contributing up to $300,000 to prostate cancer research by donating 40 cents for every purchase of shields, guards, and Real Fit products. Void in Mississippi. Learn more at Depend.com.
You're in a 4.5-minute break. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Touchdowns, sacks, upsets, and last-minute heroics. Another NFL Sunday is in the books, and we've got you covered with the biggest plays and sound bites from another wild week in the National Football League. It's time for No Huddle Offense on the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, we started with how Sunday ended, and that is with the Rams losing to the Lions in overtime. The home crowd goes home happy at Ford Field. You look back at this game, Jared Goff was 18-28 for 217 yards, a touchdown and a pick. The Lions, very good on the ground, especially at the end of the game where they picked up and they got hot late. Montgomery with 91 yards, Gibbs with 40 yards. They combined for 163 rushing yards. Stafford back in Detroit now for a few times, 34-49, 317 yards, a touchdown and a pick. And Cooper Kupp, he had 14 catches for 110 yards and a touchdown. That's the third most all-time in Week 1. Michael Thomas had 16 in terms of catches in 2018, and Keenan Allen had 15 in 2015. And Puka Nacua, he left the game injured, and Manny, he is now going on short-term IR. Is that correct with the PCL injury?
That's right. Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua suffered a PCL strain in Sunday's loss to the Lions. Coach Sean McVay said Nacua will be placed on IR and miss at least 4 games.
Okay, so he's out for a bare minimum of 4 games. Let's hear the final call. This is on Lions radio. Overtime, Lions get the ball. I know the rules. Chris Collinsworth may not have known the rules, but if you get the ball first in the regular season and march right down the field and score a touchdown, the game is over. Here's the David Montgomery touchdown run in OT.
Goff takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions. This game is over. Pack it up, boys. We're going home. An opening night victory for the Lions. They come from behind in the final minute and tie it. They take the ball in overtime and march 70 yards down the field and win it.
So there you go. Lions get their first victory of their season in their first game. Rams, after giving a really good effort, they're obviously 0-1. Stu, what do you got cooking for me on this game?
All right, so what is your concern level with how the Rams will go about replacing Aaron Donald on their defensive line?
I know that they got dominated in overtime, and the Lions were able to do whatever they wanted, and they went back to playing football the way that the Lions did. But I was actually impressed with the Rams defense. This game goes into overtime, and they only allowed 26 points. And I look back at that. I thought the Rams defense, first game without Aaron Donald, for the most part, actually looked pretty damn good and did enough to try to put their team in a position to win the game. New defensive coordinator as well. You just got to be above average, and that team has a chance to win the Super Bowl. But you look back at the Rams, Puka got hurt. The entire offensive line was banged up before the game, and they even got more hurt during the game. I actually was encouraged, and I'm not a moral victory guy, but I left this game saying, wow, the Rams gave a heck of an effort, even though they were just decimated with injuries. So, yeah, it stinks that Donald is not playing, and his wife, I think it's his wife, and maybe his girlfriend. I don't know if he's married or not, but she put out a video of him sleeping on the couch during one of the games and see, he's not coming back. So I'll believe that actually when he doesn't come back, because I think there's a chance he comes back. However, I thought the Rams defense was good enough, but the way that it ended, that's why people are going to say, oh, maybe there is some concern. All righty, next game, the Tennessee Titans and the Chicago Bears. The Bears offense was no bueno in this one. Caleb Williams, his NFL debut, 14-21 for 93 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Rome Odunze, he left the game hurt, and he's going to get an MRI. He had just one catch. The MRI's coming on the knee. Will Levis, man, maybe just throw your head in some mayo, because that was a game that was just absolutely disgusting, just like mayo in a coffee. 19-23, 127 yards, a touchdown and 2 picks, also lost the fumble. And the Bears are the third team in the Super Bowl era to score 0 offensive touchdowns, trail by 17 at one point, and win. Where the heck did you get that stat, Stu? That's a great stat. And it's such a bizarre stat as well.
I believe that the NFL tweeted out some stuff last night, early this morning.
How did they even come up with that? The third team in the Super Bowl era to score 0 offensive touchdowns, trail by 17 at one point, and win.
It's amazing. It's like they have a computer. They have to have a computer that spits all this out, because who could find that specific type of a stat?
Not me. Not Manny.
Not
but
me.
Clearly you, if you just look in the right places.
Yeah.
Here is Tariq Stevenson on the 43-yard pick six in the fourth quarter. This put the Bears up by the final score, 24-17.
Bears stack the line of scrimmage. Are they blitzing? They are. Gordon coming to. Levis swallowed up, gets rid of it at the last second, and it is intercepted. Down the sidelines to the 20, to the 10, to the 5, to the end zone. Tariq Stevenson for the lead in the fourth quarter. Will Levis under heat just flipped it in the air. The easiest pick six you're going to find for Tariq Stevenson.
And there you go, that courtesy of the Bears Radio Network. Stu, what do you got cooking for me here?
So obviously a lot of attention was on Caleb Williams heading into this one. What did you make of his debut?
He didn't play good football, obviously. He was underwhelming, but I think it's a positive when you win a game and you don't play your best and you really had nothing cooking on offense. Keenan Allen hurt, Rome Odunze hurt, and they won that game because of the defense. So I inevitably feel like Caleb Williams is going to be the dude, and he's going to be really damn special. But it shows you how good the Bears team can be this year when your quarterback practically gives you nothing and you still find a way to win the game. Now, Tennessee's not a great team. He's going to need to be better. But it's nothing that you could jump up and down about individually with Caleb Williams, with the team won. So that's what you could jump up and down about. All righty, next stop, we go to Miami. Tyreek Hill was detained before the game. And Calais Campbell was also put in handcuffs. I still don't know what happened there. Tyreek Hill ended up in the contest going 7 receptions, 130 yards, and a receiving touchdown. We will get to his big day in just a second. On the field, that is. Tua Tagovailoa, 23-37, 338 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. No picks. Hill and Waddle combined for 12 catches, 239 yards, and a touchdown. Hill has 12 career TDs of at least 75 yards, tied with Bobby Mitchell for third most in league history. Devin Hester, 14. Ollie Matson have 13, have more. And then Trevor Lawrence was 12-21, 62 yards in the game, a touchdown, no interception. The game changed, though, when it was 17-7. and it looked like the Jaguars were going to put the game away. And Travis Etienne is on the verge of getting in the end zone, and the ball gets popped out. And then a little bit later on the next drive, after the touchdown, it's legitimately the next drive, they go for it on 4th and 1 at Jacksonville's 32. That's Doug Peterson. I know it won him a Super Bowl, but that was like a crazy decision to go for it 4th and 1 at your own 32. And Etienne ran so many yards and still lost -2 yards on the play. So Etienne, it was almost as if he was partnering up with Buffalo Wild Wings, and the ref said, we need you to extend the game. And that was a crazy comeback for the Dolphins. It's weird to say the Dolphins won. I know they did, but it feels like the Jaguars more so lost that game. But let's hear Tyreek Hill, the 80-yard touchdown catch in the third quarter. This put the score to be 17-14, still in favor of the Jacksonville Jaguars, but we know the Dolphins go on to win the game 20-17.
Play action fake to it, back to throw, wants a deep one. Downfield, he's got Tyreek. Tyreek at the 40, 35, 30, down the sideline he goes. Touchdown, Miami.
Oh my gosh. Speed kills once again. Tyreek Hill to the house. 80 yards.
So there you go. Stu, what's the question for me on this one?
So obviously both of these quarterbacks in Tua and Trevor Lawrence got paid this offseason. Can either of them or both of them really live up to those contracts?
Tua, no. I think Tua's just good. Trevor Lawrence, I just still don't know what to make of him. So right now I would say no. Like, he made some really good throws in this game. But when you're up 17-7, I know this loss is on Travis Etienne, and you can't find a way to win the game. That's a bad look. Like, after that game got to 17-14, where Jacksonville was still up, they had the turnover on downs, then they punted, and then punted again. It's just one of those scenarios. If you are that franchise quarterback, you got to go drive down the field and go take the lead and get the lead back. And they just weren't able to do so. All righty, Vikings and Giants. Yikes. Daniel Jones, sorry, Manny, 22 of 42, 186 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He was sacked 5 times since signing that $160 million contract, which came after the fact that the Giants made the playoffs and won a playoff game against the Vikings. Jones has thrown more TD passes to the opposition 3 than to his own team 2. What a stat that is.
I love this sport.
And the Giants are the 6th team since 2000 to lose back-to-back openers by 20-plus points. Aaron Jones, in his debut for the Vikings, coming out from the Packers, 14 carries, 94 yards, and a touchdown. And Sam Darnold, slinging Sammy Darnold.
Yeah.
Known for mono and seeing ghosts. Now known for beating the Giants. 19-24, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Here's Andrew Van Ginkel on the 10-yard interception against Daniel Jones. This made it 28-6. Here is my favorite play-by-play guy in the league, Paul Allen, the Vikings Radio Network.
And here comes Daniel Jones, 12 of 22 for 111 yards. Vikes lead 21-6. Jones. Oh, he threw it to Van Ginkel. Touchdown! That's the 4th touchdown in Andrew Van Ginkel's career. And he read Daniel Jones like a book. And that book had a happy ending. 27-6, Minnesota.
That's not edited?
It's not edited.
I think that's what Pete Bursich does their games. I want to say
it's Paul Allen.
No. I know that.
Oh, the color guy.
That's a color commentator. That's
yes.
like, of course he did, right?
Yes.
I think that's Pete Bursich.
No, that was me.
Oh, that was you?
Yeah, that was me throwing Daniel Jones under the bus.
Oh, that was you talking over that clip?
Yes.
Oh, I know. I'm listening to that, and
I thought you saw him mouthing it. No,
I wasn't looking at Manny.
You were looking me right in the eye when I said that.
Because you made the face.
Oh, was I?
Yeah. I thought you made the face. I can't believe Manny did that.
I legitimately thought that was the color guy. Like, of course he did. I'm like, why does he sound so miserable? This is positive for the Minnesota Vikings. So that was you, Manny. Oh, man. Manny, that's a rough one. It's a rough one. Daniel Jones season already over. All right, what's the question, Stu?
Well, I guess I can ask both of you guys. Is Daniel Jones finished?
You know what? Let me defer to Manny here. I'll take the ball in the second half. What do you think?
Do I think? Yeah. Daniel Jones is finished. It stinks that the Giants brass hasn't realized this yet.
No, they have. They have.
No, they have. The people that are making the people that aren't.
Joe Shane didn't want him as the quarterback.
I
this year.
understand that, but John Mara is still pulling the strings behind the scenes.
Well, what else?
He's the one that wants Daniel Jones out here because he wants it to work. This is all John Mara. This is all John Mara. John Mara wants Daniel Jones to work. And
because
Daniel
he's
Jones,
paying him.
I understand that, but it's just he can't
lets
play football.
So you're wrong. Here's why.
He can't play football.
I don't. You're right on that, but you're wrong in terms of John Maris forcing them to play Daniel Jones. The thing where you're wrong about it is he lets his football people make the decisions. He wanted to keep Saquon Barkley. Joe Shane let Saquon Barkley walk out the door. Joe Shane tried to go make a move in the draft, but the Commanders weren't trading the pick to the Giants, and the Patriots weren't either. So this is, trust me, I like to complain about John Mara. This one, you can't really crush him. But this regime didn't want Daniel Jones from the start. That's why they declined his fifth-year option. And then, out of nowhere, he took him to the playoffs and won a playoff game, so they had to pay him. So, yes, to answer your question, Stu, he was already finished before the year started.
He was about finished 2 years ago.
Yeah. Cardinals and Bills. So, Buffalo was trailing big in this game. In my survivor, I had the Bengals and the Bills. I thought it was going to be wiped out in week one. Thankfully, the Bills won on this great comeback. Josh Allen, MVP performance, 18-23, 232 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. And it's Allen's 4th career game of at least 2 passing TDs and 2 rushing TDs, tied with Steve Young for most all time. Gregory Rousseau out of Miami had 3 sacks as well. And let's hear Josh Allen, the 6-yard TD run in the 4th quarter. This made it 31-20, Bills Radio.
Cook in late motion. Here's the snap. Looks to the right flat to Cook. Now steps up in the pocket, throws. Now he's going to run. And the beast has once again been released. Josh Allen with a 6-yard touchdown romp. His 2nd rushing touchdown of the day. 4 total touchdowns from the Bills QB. Can you say MVP?
Yeah, I can. I predicted it before the start of the year that he would win the MVP. Stu, what's the question?
So with that Josh Allen performance, do you think the Bills rely on him too much?
Obviously they do, but what other choice do they have? There's no more Stephon Diggs there. James Cook is a good running back. He showed that last year. But they were trailing, so they need Josh Allen to be Superman. And he was Superman yesterday, completing that comeback to secure a 34-28 victory. At one point in the game, the Buffalo Bills were trailing the Arizona Cardinals 17-3. All righty, that's a no-huddle offense. Manny, I think you should be a color analyst for the Minnesota Vikings because I legitimately thought that was the Vikings color analyst that was commenting over.
I mean, if they're hiring.
They were commenting over Paul Allen when Andrew Van Ginkel made a touchdown in that game, a little pick six. By the way,
yeah,
that Giant game, let me just refresh my memory. Going into the 4th quarter, we know that the game was already over. But the score going into the 4th quarter yesterday was 28-6. Yeah, 28-6 going into that 4th quarter. Carlos Ortiz,
I'm familiar with him,
went to the home opener, the season opener for the Giants. He left at the end of the 3rd quarter. Good move, bad move by Carlos Ortiz.
I probably wouldn't. I'd stay there no matter what.
You like pain and suffering.
I love it. I love it. I mean, that's what I've done for a decade and a half with the Knicks, and it's what I'll continue doing with the Giants because they are just in this absolute hole of just putrid football. It's gorgeous. I love it.
Okay. Do you have a problem with Carlos leaving early?
No, not at all.
Right? Beat the traffic. That's what I would say.
You knew the game was over.
Over. Game was over maybe before it even started. But anyway, It is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. That's a no-huddle offense. We do it every Monday on the show off of the craziness that does happen from the night before. When we come on back, Week 1 concludes tonight with the return of Aaron Rodgers. Who wins the game between the Jets and the 49ers, we'll discuss on the other side. Update time, here is Zach.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Well, the 49ers host the Jets in the Monday night matchup. San Francisco has been to the conference championship 3 times in the last 3 years. In the Super Bowl once, the Jets just looking to make the playoffs where they haven't been since 2010. And with Aaron Rodgers healthy again, head coach Robert Saleh optimistic heading into the season.
Not just mentally, but physically, he looks awesome. You guys have been there every day, and you see how good he looks. I think he's been prepared. He's prepared himself, and if he continues to stay focused on that, which he will, he's a professional. He's done it a long time. He's not a 40-year-old quarterback. So I think he's going to be just fine.
And the 49ers activated offensive lineman Trent Williams, who had held out most of the summer. It's a rough start to the season for the 0-1 Panthers, who have lost defensive lineman Derek Brown, perhaps for the season, with a meniscus injury that will require surgery. Josh Allen will be able to play Thursday night against the Dolphins after the Bills quarterback suffered an injury to his left hand yesterday. Puka Nacua is out sometime. He's on injured reserve with a sprained knee and can't return before October 20th, while the Bucs' Antoine Winfield likely to miss a couple of weeks with a sprained foot. The Commanders have released kicker Cade York. I'm Rich Ackerman.
855-212-4227. That's the number to get in touch with us, the Infinity Sports Network. Give us a call, 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick from the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
It's time to answer Ask the Pros question of the day, and it's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Jason in San Francisco says, Zach, who do you like to win the game tonight between the Jets and the 49ers? You can submit a question by tweeting at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag Ask the Pros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. What's the comment over there, Manny? You don't like when I sing the O'Reilly Auto Parts tune? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, big chatter box.
No, I just thoroughly enjoy when you do the O'Reilly part because I actually just saw an Instagram reel that we should probably not talk about on the air that I saw it and I thought about you.
It wasn't of me, right?
No, it wasn't of you, but it was just an O'Reilly, little video, and I immediately thought of you.
Gotcha. I'll have to investigate why we shouldn't talk about it on the air, so we'll get to it coming up later. There was some nasty language or something like that, is what you're saying?
No nastiness.
Okay, gotcha. Who do you guys like tonight? Jets, 49ers, who do you think wins? I guess, whatever my answer is based off my week one picks, sitting next to Hickey the other day, I think he rubbed off on me because I can't pick a winner to save my life right now.
So it sounds like we're going to fade you.
I would recommend that. So I'm going to ask you guys first. So, Manny, who wins the game tonight, Jets, 49ers?
I like the Jets. I like the Jets to win tonight.
Wow. That's how you know Manny is down in the dumps. Because you hate the Jets. You're a huge Giant fan. And usually like to punch down on the Jets. But the Jets are going to be punching the Giants all throughout the year because your football season's over already after week one.
It's basketball season, maybe.
So I think you're already trying to suck up to the Jet fan and pick the Jets just so they don't go after you if they do win the game.
That's not it. No, that's not it. Because I'll definitely be laughing when it all ultimately fails because it is the Jets. So, I'm just going to watch it from afar. I work here in New York, just going to watch the Jets. I got no opinion on the Jets.
I do
think they're going to win tonight, though. Huh?
Any good food tonight you guys doing for this Monday Night Football game?
Mom's cooking, probably. Yeah.
Oh, what do you got?
I don't know. We'll find out when we get home.
Okay. Stu, what do you got on the dinner docket?
Nothing tonight. Yesterday was another smorgasbord from Trader Joe's. Tonight, I'm not sure.
I'm going sweet potato, waffle fries in the air fryer.
Ooh.
I got a chicken burger. A jalapeno chicken burger, which I'm looking forward to. And I'm going to pick up a little bun on the way home. Going to go into Whole Foods, get a nice fresh bun.
Singular bun.
That's probably not fresh anymore because it's been sitting out there all day, but that's how I envision my Monday night. No adult beverage, just myself, my big screen TV, my sweet potato waffle fries, my jalapeno chicken burger, and a bun that I'm just hoping is fresh.
And I'll eat my cup of ramen noodles on an 18-inch TV.
And you said Mom's cooking. I thought if Mom's cooking, you wouldn't be having ramen. Jeez. All righty. Stu, who's your pick in the game?
49ers by 10.
By 10?
Oh, yeah, wow. By 10.
30-20? Is that what you're going with?
I would say 27-17.
It's weird. I have no feel on this game. I feel like it's a no-lose for the Jets, honestly. Even if the Jets get blown out, first game back from Rodgers, Achilles injury, there will be, in my opinion, some fair leeway. But on the other side, it's like if the Jets do win, it's, oh my goodness gracious, the Jets hype times 1,000. The Niners are expected to win. The Niners are a championship quality team. So I think this is a close game. I would no play on the spread. Honestly, on the 4.5 points, I hate betting on San Francisco. I'd plus the points. I think it's coming down to a field goal. I think the Niners win by a field goal. I think this will be sloppy, lower scoring, because that's been the theme across the board. 23-20. I hope we get a high-octane offensive performance, but Ayuk and Williams with their old contract situations getting rectified. No Hassan Reddick in the game tonight. Jets, at least they get Rodgers back. You have Breece Hall. You got the wide receiver Garrett Wilson as well. I think this is 23-20, though, tonight. I'll go San Francisco. So that's the thought of the game. All right, it is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We got some people to thank, each and every one of you, for listening and tuning into the program. Also like to thank Manny Rodriguez and Stuart Kovacs. Just getting bullied today. Stu losing to Notre Dame losing to NIU. Stu also having to deal with his Raiders going down. Manny, the Giants, PU, they stink. And my football teams 1-0. Now, we won't talk about the Temple Owls because they suck. All right? They are just a disgrace right now with how they started off their college football season. But we had a big Nebraska victory. We won't mention Michigan, but I'm very fired up for Matt Rule, Sean Patton, Dylan Raiola, and how about those Go Big Red Nebraska Cornhuskers. Big thanks to Thomas Hammock for joining us. He's the head coach at Northern Illinois who beat Notre Dame. So did you hear that? Well, if you didn't, you heard it again. And a big thank you to Tony Gonzalez as well, the Hall of Fame tight end. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll talk to you about it tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. It's Zach Gelb Show. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.
You're in a 5-minute break.